concussion. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, fighters, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
Jessica proclaimed the Bucks season dead in the second quarter yesterday. And I just want to ask all of you, and don't answer the question immediately, how many good teams are there in the NFL? How many teams are that you know are good?
I actually wanted to ask you, Dan, are the Bucks now one of the teams that you would say you don't have to play anymore for the rest of the season? Because yesterday you said that there are 10 teams. You would just tell them, hang up the cleats. We don't need to see any more. Have they now entered
They are
that
not
realm?
one of them. Look, there are 20 teams in the league. They're going to finish between 7 and 10 and 9 and 8, and not a one of them have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And so
9 and 7s have won Super Bowls before.
This is not going to be one of those years. It's going to be you got 20 teams that are between that can be either worse than 7 and 10 or 7 and 10, and you know, I'm going to say 9 and 8. Like, it's just everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust Baker Mayfield to win enough playoff games to win the Super Bowl, and neither do you. None of you do. Like, he could be playing better, and you can like him as a quarterback, and you're going to expect that interception in the red zone.
Which one?
That ends up that just ends their season. I really do want to get that answer from you guys, though. How many teams are there that you know are good? Because now we get into the good ones also getting hurt. The ones that you know are good that are going to get hurt. Like, look at the fourth headline on ESPN.com today, and we're not even halfway through the season. Listen to this.
49ers, Ayuk tears ACL and MCL. Debo in the hospital.
That's the fourth headline on ESPN.com. That was one of the teams we thought was going to be good, but now they're going to be injured. And the reason that I bring this up is because I want to talk in general about injuries and health in that sport. But before I do so, I want to play some sound for you last night.
Can I answer the question?
Sure.
3.
3 good teams in the NFL?
Yep. Chiefs, Ravens, Lions.
There's no fourth? You're not believing the Green Bay or the Vikings?
I'm not believing in the Packers. I do not believe in the Vikings. I'm not going there with Tampa Bay. I'm not doing it with San Francisco. Those are my teams. Maybe Washington.
Tampa did beat Detroit.
Yeah, well.
But they lost Evans and Godwin. They can hang it up for
the Godwin one is bad. They need to make a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Tyreek Hill?
The Green Bay defense is very good. C.J. Stroud, I don't know that anyone even noticed this, but he was 10 of 21 for 86 yards on
Green
Sunday.
Bay's defense is actually, because I had that taken, I was corrected. They've had timely turnovers, and this was probably their best performance. But you can absolutely move the ball on Green Bay's defense, even though I would put Green Bay in that class, certainly, of good teams.
You can move the ball against almost every defense except the Chiefs and the Chargers. Like, there are what you say timely turnovers. I'm going to say pass rush causes those, and I'm going to say their secondary is good because they can get pass rush. But I'm not sure that they're good either. I'm not totally positive.
I have 2 good teams.
2.
Chiefs, Ravens. Let's just run it back. AFC Championship game 10 times till January.
Winner gets the Lombardi Trophy?
Best of 10 series.
I like it.
Well,
And then if it's tied, we just play an 11th game, and that's the Super Bowl.
You saw the numbers on Derrick Henry last night, right? He was available for 1 year, $9 million, 15 carries, 169 yards. That's 11 yards a carry.
Yeah.
They've got the best rushing offense through 7 games we've ever seen because they cannot be stopped when Lamar Jackson is an MVP and Derrick Henry they're running like that.
Their quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns last night.
They make it look very easy on offense when not a lot of people make it look very easy on offense. And none of us could find the Chargers game against the Cardinals because it was only on ESPN+.
Only on ESPN+. Plus. Lamar's doing a better job than ever, and it's probably because his protection's better at absolutely exploiting defenses when they decide to stack the box against their rushing attack. He is finding finding open receivers. He has broken away from what he did earlier in the season, which was just lock in on Zay Flowers, which hasn't been a super efficient play. So he is spreading the ball around. I'm really impressed with Lamar Jackson. I think he's somehow better this year than he was in his MVP season.
I want him to win a Super Bowl so badly because my fear is, much like Peyton Manning, who didn't win enough Super Bowls because Tom Brady was hogging all the Super Bowl trophies. My fear for Lamar Jackson is he wins MVPs. He'll probably win his third this year, not win a Super Bowl, because Patrick Mahomes is hogging all the Super Bowl trophies.
I think you know how Steph Curry, in the eyes of some, had to prove something in the NBA Finals?
Only you.
Well,
only you.
Okay, but he did, definitively.
And me.
Okay. I mean, lost an MVP to Andre Iguodala. It's embarrassing for one of the greatest players
I'm with
ever.
you. Yeah.
But
But Steph was wandering around the entire offseasons, all before that, hoping to prove something to just you because you were questioning
I
him.
appreciate it, and I give him his flowers. But you want them to win a Super Bowl, I'd say, provided
Two
that the,
Super Bowls, as we
Two,
discussed
yeah.
yesterday.
provided
One
that the
doesn't
opposing
matter.
team scores more
Worse
than
than none.
13 points, that won't happen because historically he doesn't win in the playoffs if the opposing team scores more than 13 points. So Lamar Jackson absolutely has proving to do, and I think in this one I have a little bit more company.
You have a lot more company on this one than you did on Steph Curry because we have seen him. We've seen what we believe to be, when you're watching that team, it's them, the 49ers, and the Chiefs, as clearly the last 5 years, those have been consistently good teams in a league where everybody gets hurt and you never know who is any good. And when you say to me, the Chiefs are good, I know on reputation they're good, I know their defense is good, but Patrick Mahomes has not been good this season. Like, somehow, statistically, offensively, weirdly, you trust that guy's going to figure it out in the postseason, but he's been kind of Bo Nixie in terms of touchdown to interception rate.
It's been weird because if you watch the games too, they're winning the games because in timely fashion he becomes Patrick Mahomes and he does something, and it's not always with his arm. But it's a very strange season. It's kind of like it's being statistically compared to the season that Peyton Manning had when he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos, where he was an absolute shell.
9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions
Wow.
is what Peyton Manning had that season.
Yeah, but that was the second Super Bowl.
Big
one.
I was just going to ask you that, Stugotz. So Lamar Jackson needs to win too, right?
Yeah,
Because if
he
he
does,
wins one,
yeah.
it's worse than
It's
not
worse
having
than none,
any.
yeah.
Correct, yeah. You need to win two. If you want to be considered one of the all-time greats, you have to have two. You just do.
Anyway, speaking of all-time greats, Belichick is no more effusive on any player than he is on Ed Reed, Stugotz. I have not heard Bill Belichick talk about Tom Brady the way that he talks about Ed Reed. Bill Belichick, I told you, one of my favorite sports quotes of all time was Bill Belichick was so rabid after beating Freddie Mitchell in the Super Bowl with the Eagles that he gave Peter King the quote of just simply of Freddie Mitchell, "He's terrible. I was happy when he was in the game." Which, is a great quote from any coach, but that coach saying it about somebody basically ruins anything that you might have thought was positive about Freddie Mitchell. So when Bill Belichick talks this way about Ed Reed, I'm telling you, Stugotz, I've never heard him talk this way about Tom Brady. There's no player in the history of the sport that, not Lawrence Taylor, not anybody, that Bill Belichick loves more than Ed Reed.
Jess in the fourth quarter, best safety I ever faced, he and Troy Polamalu. What made him so special in your eyes?
Oh, my God, everything. Where do you start? Run force, tackling, man-to-man coverage, blitzing, disguise. He was great in the deep part of the field. Great speed, range. Then when he got his hands on the ball, he could score from anywhere. 105, 108, 100, whatever it was, yard returns on the interceptions. And then his punt blocking. When we played against him, we had a different punt protection whenever he was in the game to make sure we doubled the guy. We found somebody else not to block. We put two guys on Ed Reed. Now, luckily, he wasn't in there on every punt rush. And there were times where we played against him where he didn't rush a punt the entire season. But if he came into our game, we were double him. He had his own punt protection. Only player I've ever done that against in my entire career. So it was everything with Ed Reed.
Audio audience, I'm not making up. This is true. Bill Belichick, the first half of that clip was rubbing his nipples over his shirt. He was so happy to be talking about Ed Reed, who I would classify as, and this is not a small thing to say, the single most respected player in the history of the University of Miami program. There's
lots of malfeasance there, though.
But respected.
Not with Ed Reed.
I mean respected by others, respected by colleagues, teammates, the people who dole out the respect. I don't know who I'd put second.
Sean Taylor.
But only because he died, where people would put it there.
No.
It most certainly helps his legacy, but no. It's Ed Reed and Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor.
Braxton Berrios.
Sean Taylor was feared. Ed Reed, universally respected. I'm making a distinction there. Fine, you can say Sean Taylor. But Ed Reed comes on later in the program, Stugotz, with the Mannings. And if I were writing a comedy script for him making it awkward, where the Mannings are just trying to get back to football, the Mannings and Omaha Productions are the future of what this league is going to try and sound and look like. And Ed Reed just comes into the proceedings and says, all of this they're doing out here, it's really unhealthy. And Peyton just keeps trying to get back to the game.
That's the new thing, right?
That's the Guardian cap. That's the Guardian cap. Most guys wear it in practice, but you can wear it in the game if you want to for safety. Oh, he got him. Oh, he bobbled it. He bobbled it.
Now, how much safety is that, though?
It's an extra layer. It's an extra layer of protection. Like I said, all the players are wearing them during training camp at practice, and then players are allowed to wear them if they want at the game. So it's another layer of protection. So makes sense.
You really think that protection is going to do something past that carbon fiber that's on the helmet? Usually, when a boxer knocks somebody out, he punched the crap out of him in the jaw. He don't hit him in the top of his head. He gets hit here. So when a person gets knocked out, their neck is going to snap quick. It's going to send a shock in that nerve, and it's going to make that go numb. It's not going to be just from the frontal lobe. It's going to be because of the head movement of the lack of muscle strength in the neck, or the weakness thereof that happens over time in the game is called fatigue.
And your Ravens are giving up some easy touchdowns here. They need a little pep talk from you, buddy.
It's great.
Bravo, Ed Reed. Bravo, Eli Manning.
Eli killed it.
Eli's face the entire time was great.
That's the funniest thing I've ever seen Monday Night Football adjacent. Them
Frontal lobe
got me, too.
Well, how about neck? Your neck. I thought he was going to mention spine. All of this is happening the evening after Tua does his press conference and uses the phrasing, the death of me, when talking about how much he loves football and the need to continue playing football, because you couldn't write that. If you were writing dark comedy, you couldn't do it better than that, where Eli and Peyton, who are pretty good on their feet and can, present to the public what they think football wants to feel like to both the league and the public. Like,
right.
It's not a coincidence, Stugotz. Of all the broadcasting jobs that are available, I know we give them to Jason Witten and Troy Aikman and Tony Romo, but wherever it is that the people in power allow the future of this sport to grow into, we're going to move past the Roethlisbergers and the era of Brady's and Rodgers to the younger quarterbacks. We're going to do it with older quarterback voices that you're used to. We're going to pay Tom Brady a bunch of money in broadcasting. We're going to pay Peyton Manning money to make content all over the place, because the league finds the Mannings palatable. They're really
acceptable,
really easy to sell as the face voice of a league, and the appearance and politics of the league. Like, fit anywhere, not going to be found, not a whole lot of people are going to hate the Mannings. Like, they might hate them for sports reasons, but they're fine with them being the bridge to the future. For those guys to try and represent what they're trying to represent on Monday night, and Ed Reed coming on and saying, let me tell you what's real about this. These cartoon, ridiculous helmets that they're trying to protect their brains with. I've been out there playing. The top of the head doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing out there.
The Mannings are trying to promote football. And Ed Reed is trying to protect the players.
I don't know if he's trying to do that.
He's asking questions.
No, he's not. I don't think that the Mannings are promoting football, and Ed Reed is here to show you the unvarnished truth of what football is.
Wait, that's the truth? I don't know if there were facts behind what Ed Reed was saying.
He was asking.
Let's listen to this again because the question. You're right. He is asking questions, and there aren't facts or many of them here, other than the most respected player in University of Miami history is telling you, I don't know how much any of that's doing for my head. Let's listen again.
That's the new thing, right?
That's the Guardian cap. That's the Guardian cap. Most guys wear it in practice, but you can wear it in the game if you want to for safety. Oh, he got him. Oh, he bobbled it. He bobbled it.
Now, how much safety is that, though?
It's an extra layer. It's an extra layer of protection. Like I said, all the players are wearing them during training camp at practice, and then players are allowed to wear them if they want at the game. So it's another layer of protection. So makes sense.
You really think that protection is going to do something past that carbon fiber that's on the helmet? Usually, when a boxer knocks somebody out, he punched the crap out of him in the jaw. He don't hit him in the top of his head. He gets hit here. So when a person gets knocked out, their neck is going to snap quick. It's going to send a shock in their nerve, and it's going to make them go numb. It's not going to be just from the frontal lobe. It's going to be because of the head movement of the lack of muscle strength in the neck, or the weakness thereof that happens over time in the game is called fatigue.
And your Ravens are giving up some easy touchdowns here. I need a little pep talk from you, buddy.
Who cares about the next?
I don't know about the last part and like the physics of all of that, but I think it's fair to ask if a Guardian cap would have saved Tua from the most recent concussion he had, where he was basically launching himself headfirst into Damar Hamlin.
It's a good question, and he was asked it yesterday, and what he said is personal choice. I'm not wearing one of those. I do find it curious. I wonder if the rest of you do, because some of this seems like aesthetics. Very few players are willing to look as dorky as you look wearing that Lego helmet, because it makes you, I don't know whether it makes you feel like you're looking weird or soft by trying to protect your head. But to me, the proof in the fact that the players don't believe that's actually keeping them any healthier is the fact that none of them are wearing it. Like, there are very few players out there actually willing to show the strength of the optics of, yes, I'm going to remind you at every turn that I'm thinking of brain injuries, and I'm trying to keep myself safer than all the other warriors out here.
Devon Achane wore one this past weekend. He had to in order to play. Guys clearly don't like how it feels. Guys clearly don't like how it looks on them.
I don't think that's a rule, Stugotz.
I
don't think they mandate that you have to wear one to play.
Okay, maybe you guys are right. Achane did wear one this week. It does look ridiculous, but if it protects you, if it's going to prevent you from getting concussions and head trauma, isn't that something you should be wearing?
They clearly don't believe that it is.
Because it looks whack.
It looks bad. That's what I'm saying.
Like, this is just
but I don't know the science behind it. I don't know.
V1. I'm sure in a couple of years it'll make it.
I'm just asking you this. If indeed it does protect you, Dan, in a way that the helmets they're currently wearing does not, shouldn't they be wearing those helmets?
Well, I think that the two arguments are, on the one hand, people think that even if the science isn't 100% clear that it does help you, even if there's like a 1% chance it mitigates the risk of concussion, shouldn't you wear it? And then the flip side of that is, if you're a player and you're really not sold on any of the evidence whatsoever, why would you wear something that could be more uncomfortable, could actually be heavier on your head, just something that would make you play differently? And so why would I do that if the science isn't clear at all? Which I don't think at this point we can say we know for sure if the Guardian caps work or not.
But this is clearly such a good point that you're making because of the science of what these guys do to make their bodies into the granite it must be to do that stupidity for a living. When you think of someone like Bill Romanowski many years ago, like ionizing his own water in a bathtub and sending his fecal matter to labs to make sure that his nutrition was proper, and his teammates wearing thinner pads because it makes you aerodynamic. Like, this has been going on forever in that league. I don't want to wear heavier pads because I want to be this much faster than the cornerback who's wearing heavier pads than me. When Jessica says, I don't want the discomfort of playing with a helmet that's different from the one that I came up through the pipeline with, 15 years, my head feels like this when I play. I'm not going to put another layer on top of it that makes my head move differently when the winning is in the margins, when you've got to be this much faster than the next person, and all these guys are competing all off season in training regimen to be this much stronger than the next guy. Throughout that sport, people have always wanted to be a little more aerodynamic, a little less safe. It's not unlike the F1 cars. Like, you're trying to streamline everything so much that I don't even think it's just optics. I think it's that they don't measure the consequences, and their priority is performance. It's not health.
I have an update on Achan. So they asked him after the game about it, and he said that his mom told him that he had to wear it. And he didn't want to go back and forth with his mom on it, so he wore it.
Thank you.
So Stugotz may have been right on that.
I don't think Stu knew
I
that.
was right.
Well,
No,
he didn't want to go back and forth with mom, and he ends
Listen.
up wearing it, then he needed to wear it to play.
Listen, mom mandating that you wear it is more important than the league mandating that you wear it. Mom is the league.
Exactly
all
right.
I mean, she's the commissioner.
He had a concussion week 5, which is why she asked him to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to do this, but, like, it doesn't feel right.
Stugotz was right? Holy Stugotz was right.
He stumbled into that one, though.
Semantics, some would say.
I mean, I knew it. Had it all along.
Some Womantics. I was trying to do something with the man in the middle of semantics and
Right.
make it a woman. I failed.
But if your mom tells you to do something and says you have to do something, you're more inclined to do it than if a stranger who's, profiting off of you and your pain tells you to do something, right?
Put it on the poll.
Mom cares about you in a way that Goodell will never care about you.
Yeah, but you stumbled into that one.
I did.
Okay, you
Intent
said
matters, Stugotz. You didn't intend.
Well, it doesn't matter. No.
You didn't get it right, but you did get it right.
I mean, you heard the sound.
he did.
But on
he did-
accident.
Scoreboard!
He did get it right. He did, but not the way that he thought he got it right. It wasn't the league that mandated it. It was the mom that mandated it. How are you so comfortable speaking at microphones as if things are facts when when you don't know they're facts? Like, you're just waiting for us to call you on that, or like
Womantics, I mean.
that would have been the way to do it.
You found it.
Yes, thank you.
Womandate.
Yeah,
You guys would fire Jeremy for that,
I'm not.
and I would agree with it. By the
I'm
way.
not proud of that.
Can you?
That they did it better than me doesn't make it good. They just made the joke, and I didn't make the
They?
joke. Yes, you and Billy.
What do you mean?
Be careful with the pronouns.
Billy didn't say a word to me.
I saw-
MFL.
Billy did say words to you. I saw how delighted he was.
NFL.
I said M.
No, we're confused.
We're doing, yeah.
Mom.
Oh, okay.
Went over our
Scoreboard
heads.
again.
Yeah.
You are
He's
clicking
on
on
a
a
heater
higher
today,
level.
Yep. 2-0 me.
Yep. Got to take my ginkgo. You are sharp.
Tua gives the press conference yesterday. Let's go through some of this sound here because this phrasing, guys, I mean, you tell me how you absorbed Tua coming out a little bit defiant on everybody's worried about my health, and he's not wrong when he says, hey, it's my health. It's not your health. And I've told you the story, Stugotz, of talking to Ricky Williams on an NFL sideline years after his career, and the movement of the people, the tackle is coming his way, and he's saying, what was I doing? What was I thinking? And one of the things that he says is warriors, in order to be warriors, can't be thinking about consequences. Otherwise, they wouldn't be warriors. Like that's the way that one works. And so he's a leader among people who, and when I say people, I mean his ethnicity, and I mean that locker room. People who are proud to be tougher than everybody. Not the average person, tougher than everybody. And so when he uses this wording, and he's defiant, and Chris Cody, you remember before the season, ooh, I like cocky Tua. I like leader Tua. Now, leader Tua, watch what his team was when he was gone, which is they better have paid him because they don't have a way to fix this without the money that they have paid him. He's got to be as valuable as his contract. He's got the pressure to come back and be the savior on a franchise that is very literally built around him. Everything they're doing on offense is built around him and his brain, and he's got to lead those men. And so this is what he says right off the top on, yes, I'm coming back. The season is right on the brink. Nobody thinks we're that good. Everyone's doubting us. They paid me all the money. I'm going into the buzzsaw.
There were a lot of people out there legitimately worried about your health and making sure that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to those that are worried that you might get hurt again and this is something that's going to continue?
I appreciate your concern. I really do. I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it.
Stugotz, he had 2 months to think about what he was going to say in that press conference.
Was that a typewriter?
That was allowed. Someone was getting after it.
Barry Jackson just tweeting away back there.
Let's hear it again. It sounds like a typewriter. It might be a computer keyboard.
There were a lot of people out there legitimately worried about your health and making sure that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to those that are worried that you might get hurt again and this is something that's going to continue?
I appreciate your concern. I really do. I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it.
Why are they clacking away when the question's being asked? I thought you're supposed to write the quote, and it's just like before the question's being asked, they're already going after it.
I think it might be someone transcribing the whole thing.
Oh, wow, they do the whole thing.
With a typewriter?
Yeah. Well, it seems like a stenograph. I don't know the distinction between
the tiny one in courts.
Right.
I think AI might do this, guys, nowadays.
Maybe, but it sounded, you might be right, but we mentioned typewriter, and I went even older. A stenographer is what I've got it being.
Mike has a courtroom sketcher just drawing a picture of Tua back there.
All right, let's hear it again because it also sounded like someone unwrapping gum and chewing it.
There were a lot of people out there legitimately worried about your health and making sure that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to those that are worried that you might get hurt again and this is something that's going to continue?
I appreciate your concern. I really do. I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it.
I've never even heard I love something to the death of me. I've never heard that as an expression.
Yeah.
I love it to death.
Yeah, I've heard derivatives of that.
Yes.
Love it to death till the casket drops, so they put me in the dirt. It just
The big nap.
Yeah, in retrospect, probably not the wisest choice of words.
Well, I think he had 2 months to think about it, and I don't think that was an accident. Like, I think that was purposeful. I think that you have, Stugotz, let's think about this for a second, okay? This is the most polarizing Dolphin of my lifetime. I don't get it totally. It's sort of the math and the numbers of the sport and how you value quarterback, and is someone a system quarterback, and we're going to doubt this person all the time. But does anyone disagree with that in terms of the reaction of Tuanon? It's the most polarizing thing you've ever seen around a Dolphin, a most us against the United States type of thing, where if you believe in this little thing, you believe he's going to make offense forever, that the passing yards are real, and the rest of the country is saying he's not that good and your team's not that good.
I think that's fair. I think it's
totally fair.
Yeah.
Ricky Williams wasn't really polarizing.
No.
Most people were. It was a different time. Most people were staunchly anti-Ricky when he was doing all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, Ricky was positive until he took away the feel good, and then he became unpopular. But that was after his career. I've never seen anything like this. And so we've also seen, because he's grown from a college kid into an adult with all of the responsibilities of sort of being the radioactive epicenter of a regional sports city. Miami loves to fight the country on sports. And we've had it a couple of times with the UM football program and with LeBron and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, but not a lot. And this one brings that, where if you believe in this thing, you're fighting everyone in the country who just sort of says, that's Brock Purdy without Brock Purdy's weapons. Not all, the 6 guys. You've got a couple of guys instead of 6 guys, but it's Shanahan light is their coach. It's all unraveled on him in 5 games, where all of a sudden, whatever you thought of him before is evaporated because a playoff loss in Kansas City, and his don't work unless the quarterback's in there.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm trying to think who would be the second most polarizing player in Dolphin history. Is it Richie Incognito? Is it Ted Ginn?
Let's think about this for a second. Does anybody want to help Stugotz? Because the Dolphins, keep in mind, they've gone a quarter of a century being a regional team that's not interesting to the country.
Maybe it's Jason Sanders.
Ryan Tannehill was
I think if you're
pretty
doing
divisive.
most polarizing Dolphins, Flipper probably.
He wasn't polarizing. He was just popular, wasn't he? I don't.
Complicated legacy.
Yeah.
Well, that was because of people and how they entrapped him, not Flipper. What was Flipper's?
No, don't do a deep dive into Flipper, Dan.
Don't read his old tweets.
Exactly.
All right, I don't know Flipper's history. I'm going to have to take your word for it. I'm going to play some more to a sound here, though, Stugotz, because I do think the macro is super interesting. The only reason the Dolphins have gone from a regional team to a national team the last couple of years, after 20 years without a playoff win, is this guy.
Yes.
They went right back to being the Jags-Patriots game as soon as he leaves.
Yep.
He's their primetime player. We could talk about Tyreek Hill and Waddle if you want, but you saw what happened to them without Tua. The whole thing functions around him. And now he's being asked to come back and be worth the money and be confident and be leader guy and do it all while you might be risking your life a little extra than everyone else. And so here he talks about the risk.
You said it's obviously your decision, and you have so much more information than we do. But how much risk do you think you're taking to play again, if any more than the normal play?
Well, how much risk do we take when we get up in the morning to go drive to work, get into a car crash? Maybe I don't know. Everything I think takes risk. So, to answer that question, every time we all suit up, we're all taking a risk that we could potentially get hurt, whether it's a concussion, a broken bone, anything. You get up off of the bed the wrong way, you potentially could risk you spraining your ankle. There's just risk in any and everything, and I'm willing to play the odds. That's it.
You guys are laughing back there, and I just saw mouth the words Howard Bryant, who tore both his hamstrings getting out of bed.
That would have been great if Tua was like, you could be like Howard Bryant, tear both your hamstrings.
Dan, Flipper did not believe in a woman's right to choose.
Yeah, and he's all over these flight logs.
Yep.
There are all sorts of videos of Dolphins. If they had human resources department or Dolphin resources departments, they would be accused of sexual harassment and inappropriate workplace conduct.
Yeah, they don't like menstruation, straight up.
Well, but no, is that right? I think they like to have.
I mean, neither do I.
Mike's like Ed Reed right now. We don't really know what he's saying back there.
I think Dolphins like to have sex.
Very horny.
Yeah, they are. But if someone's menstruating, get out of the water.
You're saying they don't like that? Because I thought
it just makes them all crazy. Frontal lobe.
But I think crazy from pleasure, not crazy because I think.
No, I know they're horny too, but it's just maybe they get psycho horny, like
men.
Yeah.
That's why my wife calls me Dolphin.
Let's listen a little more here to Tua, because this isn't something, Stugotz, that I've seen a whole lot of covering football. We don't. You realize we're watching something here.
I found an image of Flipper with a tiki torch.
Oh, boy.
You guys do realize that we're in the middle of the advancement of this concussion story has been around for 10 years, but it hasn't taken this human a form before. Oh, it's one of the quarterbacks. Oh, he's spasming in a way that makes it feel a little bit infantile and like a seizure. Oh, I'm associating him with concussions more than anybody else anywhere in sports. As he tells you, man, boxing and hockey, why am I the only one? Because now you've got one guy who's the face of concussions in this league, Stugotz. It's not a second guy. Like, you can mention other people who have had concussions. There's no second name here that people are attaching a face and a voice to. Wait a minute. I'm watching him brain damage himself.
We've never seen a guy on the field. It's the optics of it, Dan. We've never seen a guy have a reaction to a concussion the way Tua does. And so Josh Allen, I'm convinced he was recently concussed. He went into the blue tent, and he came back out a minute later, went back into the game. Tua, we saw things on the field we've never seen from an NFL player. His hands and fingers going in different directions.
We've seen some of that in the past, back when they were celebrating the giant hits where someone's arm
jacked up
goes stiff. Yes, a different time in football. But again, this part, I mean, it's dark comedy funny the way Ed Reed talking to the Mannings is. They're trying to make a violent thing safe. There's no such thing. When he says you can get into an accident on the way to work, yes. But Tua, we're playing probabilities. I could catch on fire walking to my car, but I'm more likely to catch on fire if I'm standing near a burning stove. Like, we're playing probabilities on where it is your daily life takes you.
We don't go out on a daily basis seeking harm. It's an accident if it happens. That job, you're seeking harm.
You're trying to avoid it, but it's not avoidable. You're not seeking harm,
but it's part of the gig.
You can't avoid it. It's not avoidable. And so here he is talking about, nope, not going Guardian helmet. Nope.
So many people in the outside world are saying he should retire. You don't play this and that while you're symptom-free the next day.
I wasn't paying attention to any of it. None of it.
Tua, you said last time you had that discussion with
Yeah.
in the offseason.
Mhm.
Did that discussion come up in the last
Nope. None of that.
Will you wear a Guardian cap?
Nope.
Why?
Personal choice.
Now that, 3 words, and I'm like, okay, and can you explain the personal choice to us, please? And the answer is no, because he's saying personal choice, which might as well be no comment. But aren't you guys curious about what the choice is? Is that aesthetics, or is it something like you don't think it works? You don't want to. It's a timing offense. Timing offense. He's got to get everything out in 2 seconds. You've always worn one kind of helmet. You're not going to wear something that's more uncomfortable because you need everything to be this kind of precise. Aren't you guys curious about what that means, personal choice, or do you assume it's optics? Don't like how it looks.
I love Flipper. Feds found 1,000 bottles of lube at Flipper's house.
He had 7 weeks, 6 weeks to think of what it is that he was going to say in that initial press conference.
Flipper?
And I love it to the death of me. I love it to the death of me.
His rep says he shops at Costco.
Huh.
Billy, how excited are you tonight about your team, FIU?
Pause up.
FIU is it's undergoing a real image change where they are trying to be cooler than some of the things in college football. Cooler by bringing in Pitbull, cooler by changing their uniforms and making it vicey.
But still losing.
Whoa, hold on. The game hasn't been played yet. What are you doing? Get out of here.
They've lost a lot this season.
Good point, Billy. Well put. You can catch Billy on the broadcast tonight,
That's right.
whimpering and squeaking.
Well, whoa, guys, come on. What are we doing here? What is this underselling that's going on here? Undercutting, if you will. So FIU had a rough season, yeah, maybe a little bit, but guess what? Every game starts 0-0.
You're right.
And tonight, Vice Night. Now, the Vice Night record right now is 0-1 because last season didn't go well when they had, Lamborghinis and Bentleys on the field and, the other team was celebrating. But this year's different. We turned a page. Said, you know what? No, not this year. No Lamborghinis on the field. No Bentleys on the field. We're sticking to business. Boats on the field.
Billy, I heard him talking about trying to get the FIU broadcast to celebrate him broadcasting from the boat. Is that what you wanted to do?
Well, Sort of, yeah. No, well, come on, Dan. Cat's out of the bag now, I suppose. This is a private conversation, but there's a boat that's on the field. So as one does when they find out a boat's on the field and you're broadcasting the game, you say, hey, can we broadcast from that boat on the field? Because when are you going to get a chance to broadcast from a boat on the field again? I don't know.
Well, here's what FIU is doing, Stugotz. I don't think you've seen any of this, but FIU is really leaning into the Miami of style, optics, sunshine. FIU on a boat, wearing their uniforms and giving off uniforms that I like, Stugotz. They look cool. They look sleek and sharp, and I was surprised to see that I can still find uniforms, new uniforms, to be something that's different, because all of this is giving off Miami. It's giving off Miami swag. I know I'm too old to be saying all of that, but you guys agree that those are cool-looking uniforms, right? Everyone here.
They'd look cooler if they were winning. That's all I'm saying.
What's your problem, guy?
I'm just saying they're 2-5. I mean.
You don't think those uniforms make the people wearing them look like automatic winners?
They're small is the problem, not the uniforms, but the players. The players look a little smaller.
Well, no, the players are huge. That's why the uniforms look small by comparison. Not everyone can
Good
pull
spin.
off the uniform, Dan. You know what I mean? Video shown now. I am in the uniform. There we go. Ta-da!
Excellent.
They're also
toss,
giving away
Billy.
these bucket hats today, Dan. Yeah. You want a Vice U
I
bucket
love
hat?
the bucket
yeah,
hat.
they're gonna
Billy,
be
I'm
giving
going to
these
go to the
away.
game. How much do you think tickets cost for a last minute? Maybe I just get a little bleacher seat.
I found
situation.
there's someone singing the national anthem today, and they have a promo code for $5 tickets if you want to go. Go on the promo
everyone
code
should
section
go.
133.
We should
Yeah,
get-
we should go. Well, I'm going to be
We
there
should
already,
get
but we should
everyone
go.
in Miami excited for this game, Billy.
I'm with you. I'm supposed to do this. I heard rumblings that there may be someone at the game today. Rumblings that maybe there's some rumors and someone may be making an appearance at the game today. Rumblings, rumors unconfirmed. I heard rumblings.
Why can't you be an FIU insider? You should be someone
rumblings,
who breaks
rumors. I heard there's rumblings. Maybe I'm not saying who. I'm not gonna say who. Rumblings. Maybe someone may be there. Someone possibly maybe may be there. Rumblings. Possibly maybe. Definitely a boat though. That's gonna be there.
Nice.
We should all go to
gonna
this
be there.
game. We should all go to this game.
Yeah.
And
Y'all
there's
better
only
pause up.
one great way to get tickets to this game. The Game Time app. The Game Time app. This sounds, especially if those rumbles are correct, and if
rumblings
this
possibly
person
maybe gonna be there.
who's rumored to be there might be there. You're going to want to download that Game Time app and create an account and use code Dan for $20 off your first purchase. Now, if your first purchase is an FIU ticket, you might actually save some credits after this. You may have some left over on your voucher. Who knows? Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time!
Vice night, Dan. Woo! The field is looking crisp. I was there yesterday walking around the field. They said, Billy, don't put out a picture of that boat yet. And I said, yes, sir. I will not do so. I do not want to get on your bad side, so I didn't do it. But I saw the boat there. Boat's huge.
Little broadcaster walkthrough?
It's a big boat. Oh, yeah.
It's a yacht.
Checking out the paint scheme. There's some pink on that field. I'll tell you that right now.
It's a yacht. And I already
told
know
us.
some of you may think that boat's not big enough to be a yacht. Technically, if you have a bathroom inside the boat, it's a yacht.
Here's my rule on if a boat's a yacht. Can I afford it? No, it's a yacht. So every boat's a yacht.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is having a bathroom what makes it a yacht? Yes or no? At Le Batard Show. And I want to just ask you guys the question. I think in order to be named a yacht, and I'm just making this up and don't even know why I'm doing this, I just thought that it had to be over 50 feet. I didn't think it was just a bathroom. Couldn't you have a bathroom on a 30 or a 40-foot boat? And I don't think that people would consider looking at that a yacht.
Well, technically, the ocean is your bathroom.
What about the sea?
Wow. Are there
debatable.
sharks there?
Yeah.
That's how we know.
I think a yacht is any boat that you would feel like you weren't allowed to fish from.
The over 50 feet thing is what you say when you go to the boat store. It has to be over 50 feet.
The internet, with their AI algo, says over 40 feet
Yeah.
is the threshold. One person whose boat I went on said it has a bathroom, therefore it's a yacht. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I have a yacht, bro.
What about the engines? I think that boat had 4 of them.
Those are props.
I think feet.
That's what this person says.
I think the measurement is size. I don't think it's bathrooms. I don't think it's anything other
I think
than
it's
that.
the motion of the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not helpful, not useful in any way. We're going to get to Stugotz's weekend observations in just a second. But as it relates to, and we always wander away from here, and it frustrates me. Billy, I insist. I know you only like doing the things that you like to do and not the things I want you to do. And as soon as I endorse an idea, you don't want to do it anymore.
Falsehoods.
But the mumbling insider needs to be a character. Like
Which one?
It's you as the mumbling insider. I don't know anything, but here are rumblings, and you're reporting things while not reporting things. Like, for example, that someone might be at FIU tonight that would get people excited.
Possibly.
Sounds like Pitbull's going to be there, guys. I don't know.
No
Is it together?
one said that. No one said that.
That sounds like I think Pitbull's going to be
possibly
there.
rumbling.
Okay, you've seen we're in the information age, okay? Netflix is an information company. They're not a video and streaming company. They want all of your information. Everybody wants all of your information. The insiders on ESPN are making tons and tons of money. Mike Ryan has created a character here who I believe to be an NCAA NIL insider and a Messi-related news somehow insider. I want you to be the mumbling information insider that reports things
that no one
that
understands.
are shocking. Not that no one
I'm going to need some information for that to work out.
I know,
I need some info.
I know.
Possibly, we're not
If you
sure.
mumble, you can always say, and you get it wrong, you can always say, I didn't say that.
Information superhighway.
It's the way to do it. You'll always have plausible deniability because you're never actually reporting anything.
Deniability.
I want this character. But before we get to weekend observation, something we didn't talk about yesterday, and we were remiss in not talking about it, a couple of things actually from college football. Rewarding fans for throwing things on the field, which is just magical. And Cam Ward is the best University of Miami quarterback there's ever been. Now, they have the wonderful ingredients of you don't trust their defense at all, and you don't trust their coach either. But my God, is that fun. The quarterback's better than everybody, and I don't trust anything else about this team. But, man, maybe they'll win 45-40 every time because their quarterback's great.
It is fun. It's wildly entertaining. You do wonder if you're a Canes fan, I'd be interested what Mike thinks about this. Like, you keep flirting with losses every single week, and eventually you're going to lose.
It's because their defense isn't that good, and their offense is very good, and Cam Ward will be reckless as well. So they're just giant plays all over the place. Louisville does that to everybody. Louisville's been doing that for years, but everyone can put up the 50-yard play against Miami. Cal hasn't done it before or since. They did it a bunch of times to Miami.
Yeah, in terms of explosive plays, 50 yards or more, their metrics are that of a middling FCS team. So teams are going to keep challenging their DBs to make tackles in space. That's a book on them. They struggle with it. Thankfully, they put up 35-plus on everybody. I do think that there was a bit of an overreaction to – we can debate like the merits of how close this game was. They covered the spread. Louisville's a program that they've had weird game flows that don't necessarily
It's a
reflect
good
this.
win to win at Louisville on the road.
Yeah.
Anybody winning at
Louisville has 3
Louisville-
losses, and they're all to ranked teams by one score. As somebody that's been kind of having their heart pound out of their chest in the previous 2 games, the game flow of this one was totally different. I never for 1 second didn't think Miami wasn't in control of that game. Even
it was
that being
tied
said,
in the second half.
Mike,
yeah, there was like a
Mike,
weird 14-point swing inside of like 60 seconds, but
you,
it wasn't.
You can't
legit.
have. I understand what you're saying about leading, being a touchdown up, and feeling like you can score a touchdown whenever you want. But you can't tell me. I don't care how much you believe in this team, that when it's 31-31 and you've got that defense in Cristobal, you're still not a little scared. Now, you've got the benefit of, and this is different than it's ever been, you've got the benefit of your quarterback is better than everyone else on your team. Because when I say he's the best University of Miami quarterback ever, Stugotz, Ken Dorsey and Gino Torretta, people who won Heisman's, they won it because the other players around them were the first-rounders. They had so many first-rounders. Testaverde is the only one where you were like, holy that guy can play no matter who's with him, and he still had amazing talent with him. Miami, yeah, I mean, look, I like their receivers. Restrepo is going to be one of the most popular and going to be the most decorated receiver in the University of Miami's history. Cam Ward is the best quarterback this program has ever had. And I know that Vinny Testaverde was a number 1 overall pick. What I'm saying is I have never seen a quarterback be this much better than all the other quarterbacks who are playing football. He can score against anybody. Now, I know it wasn't that long ago that they only had 10 points at Cal, but I'm watching that game and I'm like, well, he can bring him back because look at him. Every time I'm watching one of his games, it's more than 300 yards. It's 4 touchdowns. It might be a couple of interceptions and a fumble, but statistically, per game, no quarterback at the University of Miami has started close to being what this is. Never mind, like, near it. No one has started like Cam Ward. This is the most spectacular start in the history of a position that the University of Miami has had some good players at.
I feel like this is a great example of how we in football, we always analyze all of these different positions and different parts of the game and this and that. And like you go into the deep stats on Louisville and their pass rush and their offensive line and all this stuff. At the end of the day, if you have a quarterback that is that much better than all the other players on the field, they're going to win you the game. If it's close, they're going to win you the game. And Cam Ward has done that for Miami now several times. And you can look at Miami's schedule and say, yeah, maybe Syracuse is decent. Maybe they'll keep it close. But I trust Cam Ward in all of those games to be able to score 45 points or 50 points. So as much as the people that listen to the show hate Miami and are saying this is going to come back and bite them at some point this season, I really don't think it is. I really think Miami is just going to be undefeated this year, and it won't matter that they only beat Cal, Virginia Tech, and Louisville by a touchdown because the way the playoff is set up now, if they are in the ACC championship game, and I would venture to guess even if they lose the ACC championship
They'll
game,
still get in.
They're going to get in the playoff because Cam Ward is that good.
I think we can all agree on what it is that I'm about to say because I don't think there's any argument on this. I could make the University of Miami have 2 or 3 losses already this season if I take away a catch you made on your ass on 4th down and I make a couple of calls go a different way. And it would make Cam Ward no lesser a quarterback than what I'm presently saying. Whether they're 4-3 or 7-0, he's the best quarterback I've seen play this season. And when I'm watching, I'm like, second place doesn't look obvious to me. He's on pace for 40 touchdowns.
But the 7-0 helps. I mean, at 4-3, I'm not certain you get this buy-in. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying the 7-0 helps.
Of course it helps for everyone else who does quarterback play as wins, and that's it. What I'm telling you is that what I'm watching, independent of that, independent really of whether his defense is any good or whether I actually believe in their skill guys, because I don't. I don't think that these are special skill people. The quarterback is making everyone look special. Restrepo has looked good with a variety of different quarterbacks, so I'll give him that. And the receivers are better than they were last year. But that's not elite talent that they have at receiver. It's elite talent they have at quarterback.
Yeah, Louis Riddick did say that he thinks Arroyo's probably a first-round pick. And the backfield does have some talent and some depth. I think Zay Horton's come along, and Restrepo statistically is going to obliterate the record book. And as you mentioned, he's good with everybody else. I've actually been pleasantly surprised by the wide receivers because it's been a concern. I
don't mean it as a knock, Mike. I really don't.
I understand.
I'm coming from an age when the receivers were Brian Blades, Michael Irvin, and Brett Perriman, all first and second round picks. And what I'm looking at receiver to me doesn't look like a ton of professional talent.
I generally agree. Sam Brown, it was good to see that he had finally erupted for a big game, but he was reputed as a guy that could be drafted in the upper rounds, and he kind of struggled to get on board. But for me, the main takeaway is the takes have been flying. I actually had a very polite discourse with an AP voter who put Miami because they make all this public.
I don't think. Wait a minute.
No.
That's not
polite discourse.
Voter, I mean,
No. So like an AP voter that had Miami at number 11. Wow. He ranked Miami at number 11. Yeah.
Did they go down?
He put him in his own top 25 at number 11. Now, this has happened before where there was someone who very clearly, who was golfing all day, according to their social media, put Miami at number 16 after they beat Cal. And
You're stalking this person?
No, because they put
It's
the
weird.
graph.
I mean,
they put the graphic up there.
Yeah, but leave the guy alone. I mean,
person's or woman
trying to get somewhere with this. So they put a graphic of who's voting where on the AP. So I'm curious, why are you putting Miami 16? And the guy's excuse was the thing didn't save. So that was 2 weeks ago, and this week the person he defended, and it's a common knock against Miami. He held against them that they've been in close games for the last 3 weeks. And then in the same top 25, he put Tennessee at like number 6. And I'm like, well, how are they allowed to have 3 close games? In fact, lose one of them, go to overtime against a team that Miami thoroughly dismantled on the road, and then beat an Alabama team that's probably the weakest Alabama team in 16 years. He's like,
SEC.
Great points, probably different next week. Thank you.
I think also they're like, this is the whole thing about the SEC hashtag. It just means more. That frustrates people that aren't SEC fans, because you look at Tennessee beating Alabama and you're like, well, on the one hand, it's a top 10 win. On the other hand, like, Alabama, are they even a top 10 team this year? I don't think so. They're really struggling right now. But you just get bonus points because you're playing against this SEC schedule that everyone thinks is better. And some metrics back that up. And it's a tough conference. I'm not doubting that. But then you look at Miami's schedule, and I can't say for sure who Miami's best win is, but it's probably Florida, right?
Probably Florida now, especially considering how Florida played against Kentucky.
And then if you're comparing Miami's undefeated, but their best win is an unranked Florida team, to Tennessee, who has 1 loss, and their best win, Oklahoma, you can throw out the window because they are bad. Their offense is terrible, and that win is not going to count for them or for Texas anymore. Their best win's Alabama. You still, as a voter, rank Alabama higher than Florida, so you give Tennessee the benefit of the doubt, even though they have the loss.
Miami kind of needs Duke to be a good team when they play next week, just in the eyes of folks.
What a sentence.
Yeah, kind of needs that, because there really isn't a ranked win.
Andy Diaz is Duke.
We talked about this briefly, in that, like, it's weird. You hold against them the fact that they almost win, because it makes the teams that they're beating look worse. Cal is an infuriating team that honestly should be undefeated. If you want to hold against Miami that they played in a one-score game against Cal, that's the most valid out of all of them. All they've done is play one-score games this year.
Mike is mad, and I got to be honest. I've seen this too and gotten like a stir of some old embers of mad. I'm like, God damn it, Cal.
What are you doing?
Like, you're making the win that Miami had against you worse every week because you keep losing by a score to everybody.
They're trying, Dan.
They keep trying to set up field goals, and they can't kick field goals. It's infuriating.
They lost to FSU. There's no way you can convince anyone that Cal is decent.
But they lost because they missed a field goal. Like, they miss field goals. It's a little infuriating. For me, like, look, we can parse these things all day. I think treetop view is Miami's exactly where they hoped they would be year 3 into Mario Cristobal's tenure here. You saw last year they had a lot of one-score losses. This year they have a lot of one-score wins. One-score losses is generally a good year-to-year indicator of how your season and luck is going to turn around. I think that this is all about building a foundation, and Miami, in my wildest dreams, if you would have told me, I'd be traveling and I'd see like 3 road wins already, which is already a 300% increase over all the wins that I saw on the road since 2017. I'm very happy. I think winning is hard, and I like that they're winning games, and they currently have an 86% chance to make the playoffs according to ESPN's FPI. So I would give them A's across the board as to how this year has gone.
By your math, Cal is going to compete for a national championship next year.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah.
Good indicator.
Yeah, it's a good indicator. Yeah. A good indicator that they're going to win those next year. I got to fire this bum coach.
I need people to, I really do need them to understand a couple of things about this that are just magical, okay? Magical. One is the ingredients, the Molotov cocktail of ingredients that are the best quarterback, but he's reckless. The defense allows a lot of 50-yard plays, and Cristobal's going to find a way to lose one of these. Like, everyone believes that is so, that if indeed Mario Cristobal is on the right track in year 3, it'll be 10-2 with 2 losses that are his fault.
He's not going to escape that. Although from a game management standpoint, that's another A across the board. He's nailed them. Even the ones that you're wondering, like, why are you not calling a timeout there? Statistically the best. Why are you going for 2 there? He's actually pushing the right buttons there, but I'm with you. His reputation precedes him.
Mike, did I see something at the end of the game? Did Cam Ward fumble the snap on the kneel down at the end of the game?
He did. That's why we don't kneel around these parts. Yeah, he almost botched that.
I saw it and I was like, oh no.
So Cam Ward, small hands.
So there's that over there, Stugotz. You have this cocktail of, oh wow, Miami's interesting. They're wildly interesting offensively. They've got the best quarterback, but he's reckless. And they're undefeated. But what Jessica was saying about the SEC, and we can argue the rest of the season. You know, the SEC will go like 4-5 in bowl games, and then we'll all be like, see, it wasn't that good. But this is what
They'll all be in the playoff.
Yes, correct. That's right. But what happens in the SEC, and this part's funny, and it's just because an entire generation has been battered by what Saban is. And to watch Georgia knock off what Saban was, all of us know this. Well, Georgia's good. So Alabama's going to be good because anybody who beats Georgia, we're going to say is good. Alabama could lose to Vanderbilt, can lose to Tennessee, can lose to everybody in the SEC, and we're still going to say, well, I know that if I line up their athletes against Ohio State's athletes, I'm going to always believe in Alabama's athletes because I've watched them do it for 17 years. Now, Georgia is that, and I don't think any of us believe Miami is the top of that conference, because if you think these 50-yard plays against Cal are a big deal, do it against LSU. Play LSU and see how quickly their receivers embarrass your secondary.
I would say that is the concern because the schedule has not been too difficult, but they're still undefeated, so you give them credit. Once they get to the playoff and start playing some of those teams, will the Canes be able to get past those teams?
My favorite scenario out of all of these in the playoffs and matchups is there is an ACC tiebreaker that would see an undefeated Miami not qualify for the ACC championship game.
Oh, boy.
Part of me is rooting for that.
Yeah, you should want that. By the way.
I want the bye.
You're undefeated.
I want the bye, but I kind of just want to see the chaos that potentially has 4 ACC teams in the college football playoff.
Dan, you brought up the Georgia-Texas game. Did you see that Matthew McConaughey put out a statement yesterday about the Texas fans throwing bottles on the field?
I can't believe that we didn't get to that yesterday. This was like just getting rewarded, Texas fans, for throwing on the field.
He called it a bogey move.
Can I hear from Kirby Smart on this? Because Kirby Smart, Stugotz, you were bashing him a little bit yesterday because I don't think Kirby Smart was wrong in saying everybody was picking Texas, Stugotz. A whole lot of people were willing to give the SEC over to Texas just because they beat Alabama last year.
I understand, but no one has forgotten about Georgia.
But
no one's disrespecting
Stugotz,
Georgia.
you picked Texas by double digits.
I did, yeah.
That's disrespecting Georgia.
It is, but Kirby Smart doesn't care what I have to say.
No, it's respecting Texas.
I mean, come on, Dan.
No, but to respect Texas,
saying
Jess, to respect Texas is to disrespect Georgia.
Well,
what if you respect both? I said on Gen CFB, Georgia wins by 2 points or Texas wins by 10. Now, I was wrong, but I did respect them enough to say that I could see them winning by 2. So Kirby Smart, not talking about me.
I just have rules to this stuff, as you know. You cannot win 2 national championships in 3 seasons and come out after a victory and said no one believes in us.
Jessica,
everyone forgot about us. No one forgot about Georgia.
Jessica, Stugotz. He was talking to you, Jessica. You thinking?
SEC respect
No, Jessica.
SEC, I respect. It just means more, Dan. It just means more.
Jessica.
It just means more.
Jess, you disrespect Kirby Smart by saying, well, I can see Texas winning big, but I can't see Georgia winning big.
I disrespected Kirby Smart by saying he got away with assault the weekend before because he pushed the Mississippi State quarterback, and it was a bad look.
We didn't even talk about that. We just
He did apologize.
You know what,
so I
though?
respect the apology.
I got to be honest with you guys. Bad look as a criticism isn't taking me anywhere in 2024. It is correct to point out a number of bad looks all over the place, but there's never a consequence to a bad look other than someone saying it's a bad look. There's not another. By degrees,
that's enough. I mean,
I don't feel like it is enough, though. People, as a criticism.
I'm not going to disrespect him, Dan.
You already did, Jess.
I do.
Jess, by saying he would only win by 2.
But she said he could win. I mean.
No, but only by 2. She couldn't imagine.
Some people said they couldn't win at all.
Right.
I said they could win by 2.
That's disrespect.
I thought it would be a close game, or I thought it'd be a Texas blowout. Turns out neither. But I did respect them enough to say it could be a close game.
You did not. No, the nation did not properly respect Kirby Smart this weekend by thinking that Texas had overtaken what has been his conference, which he stole from Saban. And he's like, you don't get to do that in a season and a half. You don't get to do that in 4 games. And you sure don't get to do it because you beat Alabama last year by 2 touchdowns, and nobody was used to seeing Alabama lose by 2 touchdowns.
That's because he never beats them. I mean,
why is Matthew McConaughey the fun police now? All of a sudden, like he's like the commissioner on how fans should behave, and he puts out letters lecturing students on what they should be doing.
He's the minister.
Shut up.
Minister of. He's like the Ryan Cortez of Texas. He's the minister of Texas propaganda, and he put out a little statement saying that, hey, not cool. That was BS. Don't do that. And you know what? In this case, he's right, and I respect Matthew McConaughey for calling out the students for doing that, because don't throw stuff on the field. You could hurt someone.
Bogey.
Billy.
But it did end up working, so they're probably going to do it again.
Which is worse? Someone getting hit by a plastic bottle or someone getting hit in the head with someone's helmet?
A pick six getting called back is worse.
I think that what we're not talking about here is the fact that the eye in the sky, once again, just picks and chooses when it wants to come in and change a call. So if you don't know this, Georgia was on offense. Georgia throws an interception, and then they call pass interference on the defense. And it's a questionable call. I didn't think it was like...
It was a terrible call.
There was contact. Whatever. All right, it was a terrible call. I'll give you that it was a terrible call.
Contact created by the wide receiver.
So now Texas fans start throwing stuff in the end zone. The end zone's filled with water bottles. So there's like a 6-minute delay. And during this 6 minutes, the eye in the sky just decides, hey, this was a bad call. So the ref goes up to all the coaches, like, hey, we're going to take away that call. During the 5 minutes, because the fans threw we just decided it was a bad call. There was no challenge. They just decided, of all the calls made through the game, this one is going to just change. Even though I'm sure there was holding calls, I'm sure there was other pass interference calls that could have been changed, but they just decided. And it's a slippery slope of, oh, there's a little time here. Hey, did we get that wrong? Oh, it's a slippery slope. And I said it last week.
That is a slippery slope.
I said it before.
You're right. You're using it correctly.
I said it last week. And everyone was like, what are you talking about? Let's just get the call right. You can't just pick and choose when this eye in the sky gets to change things.
Don't let your skis get out in front of you.
Exactly.
Well
the
said.
slippery slope is letting the fans delay the game so long that the refs are able to confer and then change their mind. Because if you're going to throw stuff on the field, what's next? Someone's going to decide, I'm going to go streak now, because that's going to take a really long time. They're going to be able to watch the replay on the Jumbotron, and everyone's going to be booing, and then the refs are going to be like, oh. Yeah. But no, Chris, you're right. The SEC, they screwed this one up.
I'm jealous of this precedent.
Big time.
Because I threw something on the field when the review said that Don Chaney fumbled against Georgia Tech. We threw plenty. Threw plenty of stuff on that field, and they didn't change that call.
Billy, there were a couple of things that just happened that I found a little bit alarming that we just skipped right past.
It's a slippery slope.
You told, well, that's one of them. You telling Matthew McConaughey to shut up.
Did I?
Yes.
You did.
I blacked out a second.
You did.
I just don't like these. You're
Don't tell me how to be a fan.
Look, you're a naked bongo guy, right? You're not even a great actor, if we're going to be perfectly honest with
wow.
you. Like, all of a sudden, now you're going to tell me how to behave as a fan? Shush it up.
That's where you...
Shush it up.
Have you seen Interstellar?
You're in Sing.
Have you seen Dallas Buyers Club?
You're in Sing, too. And by the way, I thought Michael Jackson was canceled, but all of a sudden there's a Sing:*Thriller? Okay.
Whoa. You don't think McConaughey's a good actor?
No, I don't. And I love Fool's Gold. I'll tell you that right now. Love Fool's Gold. I'll watch it anytime it's on.
Is that Terry Bradshaw's
Great movie.
ass?
No, that's
that one?
Failure to launch.
Yeah, something about that.
There is a Sing threat.
Sing:*Thriller. It's on Netflix. Yeah.
Flipper's in that.
Really?
Of course he is.
Comes full circle.
No one gets canceled anymore. Have you guys noticed this?
No. Yes. No, it's just say
like streaming services. It's impossible to cancel.
Al Franken.
You try, but it doesn't
the
go
FTC is changing that.
The who?
Really.
Al Franken's like the only one.
Right. Yeah.
Not even Flipper.
He's self-canceled.
Yeah. Well, that's how.
Yeah, that's how that happened. Yes. You guys, you hit someone with a bad look, and then no one gets canceled, and then the comedians eat up the podcast space by being too dangerous, too hot for the mainstream. That's what's been happening in the cancellation culture that never was, is that by degrees we say bad look and there are no consequences. But Billy, you just blasphemed against McConaughey because I think
I'm fine.
Well, but
I'm good with my choices.
Okay.
I don't care.
He's done more bad movies than good in Billy's
That's fair
defense.
enough.
True detective.
Yes. That's fair enough. He had to rebuild his career. If you listen to his amazing audio book, which is you have to listen to this one. Do not read it. It is a work of pure fiction. But he covers that, how he had to rebuild his career.
He's insane, correct? Everyone understands that McConaughey is a bit insane. Yes,
crazy like a fox.
I'm not going to disrespect Matthew McConaughey.
Me neither.
Or Kirby Smart. I will disrespect Sark.
You did tell him to just shut up, though.
Is that disrespectful?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
He has an Academy Award.
Oh, please.
What is that? You don't respect.
It's what
you
they
need to
hand
win two
out
of them.
the actors.
It's like it's their Oscars.
Yeah.
Best actor.
It's
best
their
movie.
Suey Awards.
Billy, have you seen Interstellar? Have you seen Interstellar, Billy? I can tell you what Interstellar is about during the break. I did it a couple weeks ago for
Please
the video
don't.
team. It's so good, Billy.
What's it about?
Okay, so there's this like future world, and
I'm out.
climate change is happening, and there's like a drone flying
Future
around,
world.
and there's corn stalks everywhere, and they have to find a new planet, and they have to find a new planet to move all of the human beings to because the old planet is dying. And Matthew McConaughey has 2 kids. One of them is Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, well, who turns into Casey Affleck?
does
Speaking
turn
of
into
people that
Casey
aren't
Affleck, and
actually
then
canceled.
he
Turns
ends up,
into 2 people?
yes, he ends up not like. That's a good point.
Is Chalamet the one that's dating a Jenner?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still together.
Yeah, I think they're still together.
It's
Now
actually
I'm
good
in.
casting, and there you could see like, oh, this guy does look like he grows up to be somebody that should be canceled but isn't.
So he goes into space with Anne Hathaway. Yeah. And they have this like little robot thing called TARS. I think it's called TARS. You're like, TARS actually
Sold the
might have
movie.
been the star of the show.
Sold the movie.
But it's a Christopher Nolan movie. That's enough. McConaughey with Nolan's enough to sell the movie.
Yeah,
is it
but
not?
Planets, the time is all
scratching the
different.
surface here.
So they're on this planet for 2 minutes, but it's 7 years on Earth, and his kids are getting older, and they're having families, and then his daughter turns into Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. You know how it is, like when you take you think you're following the GPS, but you're like, oh, I'm walking in the wrong direction. If that happens on the planet that they're on, that's 14 years.
I don't. Should I say the spoiler? There's a big spoiler.
Yeah,
Someone
say it.
shows up. Spoiler alert to all the fans. They go with the planet. Matt Damon is on the planet and he's frozen.
And he's a terrible person.
And he's an
just
asshole.
an asshole.
Just an absolute
huge asshole.
Oh
He cost
my
him
God.
years,
Just the
like with a
worst.
Z.
He's trying to doom humanity, and Matthew McConaughey is
He's
like,
just
no.
looking out for number 1.
And then Matthew
Throwing
McConaughey's like, you know
bottles
what?
on the planet.
My
probably.
kids are getting older. They're mad at me because I never came back. I'm trying to find this new planet. I'm going to go into a black hole. I'm going to suck myself into a black hole.
Goes into a black hole.
And then he goes back to his
McConaughey?
daughter's bedroom when
Yes.
she's a kid, and he does this weird thing
But
with
they
like
laid
the sand and the
But
dust.
they laid the foundation because, like, when you go in the room the first time, like a book falls off the shelf, and you're like, "Huh, that was
And it
curious."
was him from the
It was
future in the
Matthew
black hole.
McConaughey inside the black hole pushing the books.
And then he's able to help Jessica Chastain, his daughter, create the formula to fix whatever's going on with the planet. I can't explain that part. That part gets
and I'm
into
pretty
some
sure
physics.
Casey Affleck named his son Cooper.
Jessica,
we named him Coop
Couple of
after you.
Coopers.
Is there any reason, Jessica, that you went so bravely into the scientific description
Into
of
physics.
something you clearly
There's a
weren't
whole
going to be able
special.
to explain?
No, there's
Trust
a
me, Dan, you don't want me
science
to
of
get
Inception.
started.
You need to kind
You don't want me to get started on it.
You
don't
need
want
to
me
see
get
the
started
science
on
of
it.
Interstellar because it ties everything together.
So to like save the planet, we don't actually move to another planet. We just go to the other planet and then send the information back to this planet to change what happened so that we save the planet.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, but we do leave the planet too.
Yeah, right.
At the end?
Yeah, they go to the Cooper station. He's like, "Thank you for naming it after me." And they're like, "We didn't. We named it after your daughter. Also, you have a grandson that's probably named Cooper." Wow.
I never realized that.
Speaking of new planets, Elon Musk has said that he is going to build a city on Mars, and he's going to do it by 2054, where 1 million people can live there by 2054. You know what that means, Dan? That means we're never going to Mars. I mean, if Elon Musk is telling you 2054, million people living on Mars, and I'd love to know how he's going to select those million people, that means it's never happening. We will never live on Mars, ever, if Elon Musk has anything to say about it.
I was thinking about his rocket ship, and I'm not a rocket scientist, as we all know. I was thinking about his rocket ship that flies up and then it gets caught by, like, the claw machine game, right? And, like, that seems cool, right? But, like, you have to have one of those on Mars. How's that going to get there if you need one of those to land?
It's never going to happen. We can't find 32 people to play quarterback. We're not going to figure out interstellar travel.
He can't get a Tesla to my driveway. I mean,
How are we going to live on Mars before we have flying cars
And
on
then when
this
he
planet?
comes back, Jessica Chastain's, she's like 85.
Yeah, he goes to essentially his daughter's deathbed.
It's crazy.
But he's still a young man. And she's like, go find Anne Hathaway.
Elon's going to be 83 in 2054.
Do you
I
thi-
kind of want to see what 83-year-old Elon is saying.
do you think there'll be sports radio on Mars?
You know, I own an
That's
acre.
what it was. That's what it would sound like.
I own an acre on Mars.
You do?
Someone gave it to me as a gift.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. An acre of land on Mars.
Huh.
Billy, the other thing that I wanted to get to with
welcome.
McConaughey and the shut up is that you really condescended Chris Cody from the back by not allowing him to go slippery slope there in a way that was confident. He was talking slippery slope, and Billy was pointing at you as if
It was a callback. No, we were pointing, me and Jess, we made eye contact. We pointed as a callback to last time we talked about slippery slopes. Eye in the sky, slippery slope.
It doesn't sound right, though, when Chris Cody is taking the moral stand. You specifically, I feel like, should be banned from using the phrase, this is a moral slippery slope, even though you're just talking about Texas fans throwing something on the field.
He had Georgia.
Yeah, I did.
Billy, why is your head in your hands? Did Stugotz just do something that brought sweeping shame over you? What just happened?
Nah, just, funny things are happening here.
Okay.
BTS situation, I can't get into it.
All right.
Here, it's a secret.
All right.
Why do you always think it's me, man?
Yeah.
I just assume that things that you are up to are that the two of you look.
Right. We're in cahoots.
Well, if you didn't see what was happening last segment, where Mike and Jess were doing a thing, and Billy and Stugotz were doing a different thing.
What were we
Because,
doing?
Just your thing.
No, it's better than one thing.
Couple of things, cutting it
That's
up.
actually a different movie called Inception.
Ah.
Oh my God!
I
don't
say
get me
about-
started
That
on
one's
Inception.
crazy. Do
Dream
you know about
Theory.
Inception?
No.
All
Which
right,
one is
so
it? No,
basically
is that the
introduce
one
Tom
with
Hardy as
Leo?
the
Is he in that one?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Isn't that like something moves sideways or something?
Do you think the top is still spinning?
Are you happy,
I don't
Dan?
know.
Yes.
You know what they say about shows with two things?
Dianna Russini is on with us, and I've got a number of football things to talk to her about. One of them that we did not talk about enough yesterday is everything that happened with the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. That has been, in the history of transactions in the NFL, one of the most apocalyptic we have ever seen, if not the most apocalyptic. He tears his Achilles yesterday. What the Cleveland Browns have to show for one of the most controversial contracts ever given, and a groundbreaking guaranteed one, is somebody who is probably a sexual predator, credibly accused by so many women, going down on the field, tearing his Achilles, bringing mercy upon how bad a quarterback he has been for that franchise, and a franchise that made the playoffs last year by not having him around, and became worse the moment he came back, and then he gets injured, and Cleveland fans do what Cleveland fans are going to do, which is they boo him vigorously, then turning on him, not because of the sexual predating, because of the football. They finally turn on him. They rallied around him at the beginning. Us against the world, he's going to save us. And at the end, they boo him. And then his teammates gather around and make him the victim of something that is credibly accused to be made totally of his circumstances, because what's alleged is he could not keep his pants on in massages and was making a bunch of women do things they didn't want to do by being Deshaun Watson.
And now it's led to a ridiculous conversation about how fans should act when a guy gets injured, which is patently absurd. It really is. I don't care if the fans cheered for him on the way in. I don't care if they booed him when he got injured. The problem is not the fans. The problem, Dan, is Deshaun Watson and Jimmy Haslam. That is the problem.
Okay, but it's been the problem, and the league protecting everything there has been the problem since Deshaun Watson got back into the league, with many teams competing for his services. So Dianna Russini's on with us now. She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. Her podcast is climbing dangerously close to ours. I don't like it at all. Scoop City is the name of it, and I will start with you there. How did you absorb the entire macro conversation, societal and otherwise, as America has a gender fight on its hands headed into an election, of everything that happened in Cleveland on Sunday, the calamity from start to finish that includes his teammates rushing to his defense because, of course, that's what football players are going to do, even though it is totally tone deaf.
Yeah, it certainly has been one of the harder stories to cover, for sure, just because everything about it just feels, it just has this blemish of the backstory. And I still have a hard time understanding why Deshaun Watson has yet to even really talk to anyone, any media outlets, sit down with you guys, sit down with me, sit down with someone, and maybe apologize, maybe talk about this journey for him. because I think what's lacking here is any understanding of what it's been like for someone like him. We immediately are criticizing because we know of all these situations, right? Like you just painted the picture of what we've seen him go through. And he just hasn't shown remorse. And I think that's really been at the center of the problem. In terms of the fandom against him, things that I've always been told is, well, winning fixes everything. If they won, none of this would be a problem. They would be cheering for him and they would look past all these issues. And then we see when they don't win, how the reaction is. And that booing, I know you said that has to do with football. I actually disagree with you. I think the booing was because I don't think Cleveland has ever wrapped their arms around Deshaun Watson. I don't think that situation was ever something the Browns fans really, truly were signing off on. I could also tell you there were people in that building that weren't always comfortable with that signing and with that contract and with how that all came together. It's why a lot of teams that were definitely in on him that wound up, losing because they weren't willing to give him that guaranteed money. There's another side of that story where I know teams that, they would love the Deshaun Watson quarterback that we saw in Houston, but they weren't comfortable with the situation and the things that he was being accused of. So look, I think, I spoke to Jimmy Haslam at the owners meeting last week and people associated with the Browns to just kind of get an understanding of how they are looking at the season. And, they always just say the same thing right now, which is it's not all on Deshaun. Everybody's got to be better. But this is also the same organization who decided not to bring Joe Flacco back, knowing that Deshaun Watson needed to be put in a space that was going to sort of give him that confidence that the organization was behind him without any distractions, without any competition. And now here we are.
But Diana, that part's amazing, is it not? Like to think that even before this season, when he had proven to be a failure as a quarterback because he's been bad the entire way, you're still giving Deshaun Watson personnel power. Aaron Rodgers got run out of Green Bay for not having personnel power. Deshaun Watson gets to choose who his backup is, and it ruins their season?
The result of the contract is forced this team to try to put him in a lane to succeed at all times with no guardrails either at this point. So look, when they made that decision, there was a part of me that understood it. They need to make this work. They have to give Deshaun everything he needs to be successful. And if getting Joe Flacco out of there was going to help the psyche, I can see the argument. But if this organization wants to win,
but Diana, the reason this one's so interesting to me, because you're talking about helping the organizational psyche, and this very clearly is a player who was great at quarterback in his athletic prime, who has been short-circuited and cannot play football because of whatever his life has been for the last 3 years. Again, not a victim of his own creation, of his own circumstance. We've rarely seen a player that this great short circuit, at least in part, because he's been changed by the last 3 years of everyone knows, Stugotz, this part, the details. Oh, that dude at the center of the stadium likes to call women like they're Ubers and then put his ass up in the air and be like, here are my balls, do this and that, and like very aggressively using his power on women all over, allegedly, the area wherever he was, to do this kind of preying on women.
Right.
And he's clearly, like, that contract feels like a selling of the soul that has short-circuited that entire fan base and franchise.
That's exactly what it is, but he's living.
It's what it is. I'm not arguing that this team made the right decision. That's not it. I'm trying to take you into the thinking of why they were doing it. Of what the thought process was. Let's put aside the mental anguish that he's been through. And it sounds sympathetic. I don't mean it to be that way. It's more, what you just described, he's obviously struggled with life since this has happened. He is not the same player. So I called some coaches over the weekend, actually, that coached him in Houston when he was great. When we saw the Deshaun that we thought that Cleveland was trying to go after here, or at least they were expecting. And when you talk about his actual play, his football, what's wrong with him? What were you doing that Kevin Stefanski's not doing. Is that what this is? And a lot of it has to do with the relationship he had with that staff, the way they coached him, because he was in a mentally different state. So even the times where I want to make it about football and try to dig on the reporting side of how is this a mechanic thing? Is he not clicking with Stefanski? Is the playbook too difficult? Are they running too many motions? What is it? In fact, they ran tons of motion with him when he was in Houston. That helped him. They did so much of what he did in Clemson, and they combined that with what they did in New England. It is similar but different in Cleveland, but he's not the same guy. He's not the same person. And I don't know what the Cleveland Browns are going to do to find that man again. And that man may be non-existent at this point.
Switching gears, last night, Tampa Bay had a really rough game. I know Mike Evans entered that game with a hamstring injury, re-aggravated it on a drop in the end zone that seemingly just flipped the entire game. And also later in the game, as they're trying to climb back desperately into that game, Godwin goes out, and Godwin's such a terrific player for them, opens up so much. What do they do? Do they kind of capitulate on this season, or do they get aggressive in the trade market considering the year Baker's had and give themselves a chance?
Yeah, so just to give you a quick injury update on them. So Godwin he's getting an MRI actually right now, but he'll be getting surgery later this week. Be out, obviously hamstrings. They're a pain in the butt, as we've seen all season long with these receivers. So yeah, do I think they're going to be buyers? Yeah. And that's the best part of the trade deadline right now is it's different than it was when I was on probably last week in terms of who's going to be buyers and sellers. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. They're a great example. They're going to be buyers and sellers trying to turn a season of just bad vibes around. It's every single day. But in regards to Tampa, yeah, I definitely expect them to try to find a receiver on the market that's available. Mike Williams with the New York Jets. He's gotten some interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers, from the Chargers, even the Saints, but the Saints are no longer, in on that. But you have DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. I know that there's been some teams keeping an eye on that one. And then I know the Kansas City Chiefs are 6-0, but I think it was pretty apparent that they're winning every single game in a different way. But they could use a receiver. So I'm expecting the Kansas City Chiefs to make a move between now and November 5th.
Dianna, I think you're ready for this. I'm a little wary of doing this.
What are you doing?
Well, I want Dianna to graduate to football commentary given in faster bursts for a short attention span society. We have to reach young people, and
Rude.
I need to get through more of her information quicker. So give me the music so that I can ask her more football questions, because we've been at this for 10 minutes, and we've only done 3 things, and there's a lot going on in football.
I talk too much.
No, I'm not saying that. Now I want you to talk faster.
Well, we started with an easy subject.
Yes, yes.
Really. Yeah, thank you. It was that was a delight. My shirt's only soaking wet.
Yes.
I can't do a flipper voice.
Mike, you have a question here. Get us started here, because Stugotz, we've got real chaos coming in the next 3 weeks when politics mix with sports even more than it just did.
Yeah, Dianna, the NFL trade deadline's on election day. They're not moving yet. Who came up with that idea? That seems like a bad idea.
Sounds like a bad idea. Am I doing this as me or as my mother, by the way?
I don't know.
As you.
You're just doing it quickly.
As your mother?
Just quick.
Wait, no. If
We're off to a bad start.
No.
I mean, they just wanted to move it back because they didn't make that adjustment last year when they added that game, and then they met in the offseason. We're like, oh wait, we probably should push the trade deadline back because we've added a game, and that's why we're getting it on that day because they want to do it on a Tuesday. So I don't think they really thought about the election part. They just wanted to make sure that they moved it 1 week ahead. But it should definitely keep it interesting.
Cooper Kupp, Kansas City Chiefs. Is there a chance?
If the Rams are willing to take on the salary I heard that they're willing to do, so they are definitely open to trading Cooper Kupp. So we'll see if they'll be able to get a deal done. I just don't think Kansas City has even enough money, even if the Rams were to take on some of that salary. That's been the problem and the reason why they haven't been able to go after a Devontae Adams, an Amari Cooper, like we've seen other teams be aggressive with.
What do you make of the Jets?
Oh,
they stink.
How many teams can you say for sure are good in this league? Give me a number.
5.
Name them.
The Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. Chiefs.
Ooh, the Ravens and
Thank
Chiefs.
you. The Chiefs and
Ravens.
And the Ravens. Thank you.
Oh, you left out
Bills.
the Bengals.
No Bills.
No Bills. No Bills. You
No
put-
Bills yet. No, but I'm still too much on Josh Allen. But
Commies
I
in there?
still
Commies in there?
no, not yet. Next year.
The commies, not yet.
They have a good defense. and
What's
a
wrong with the
quarterback.
commies?
Jaden
I don't like
Daniels
this.
hurt.
This is so fast. You're not even giving my brain a second to think. Why is it so close to my face? I don't want to be so close.
It was a follow-up that when I said name them. I'm
Diana,
sorry.
we
Yeah.
need
Depending
you
on
to
election day, commies could also
Right.
make a run this year.
get, Diana, we need you to graduate to more information faster.
Okay, go,
More
go,
information
go, go, go.
Shocking name that could get traded.
Cooper Kupp.
No, that's not shocking if we already established him. Give me a name I haven't heard.
Debo Samuel.
Oh, wow. He's in the
He's in
hospital.
the hospital.
He has pneumonia.
What do you make of Tua being defiant yesterday?
It's a sad story, and I don't know what side to pick because the guy just loves football. He doesn't know anything, but you have to be empathetic. This organization is sitting there going, we paid this guy. He's making this decision, and we're behind it. But my question for you is, why don't we criticize boxers and UFC fighters after they've gone under 5, 6, 7 concussions? We say roll them back out there. But why are we being so critical of football players, Dan?
Apple picking, yes or no?
Trash. Worst fall activity. I'm over it. I'm never doing it again. My children picked up the apples off the ground that other people ate that animals probably pooped on and ate them. They're both home from school today sick.
Scoop City is the name of the podcast. She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. Excellent dismount. Next time, we're going to get you to move the microphone with you because that was visually beautiful. Like, it was wonderful.
But off mic, yeah.
Sonically, it sounded like you were talking to us from the bathroom.
Yeah, but that's okay.
You crushed it.
You
Enough.
did. You
I
crushed
mean,
it. I want to keep speeding it up on her. Nice work, Diana. Thank you for being on with
Debo
us.
Samuel on it.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
in the
but he's in the hospital.
He's going to be traded while in
Fluid
the
in the
hospital.
lungs. I
Yes.
mean,
that sport. That sport. Stugotz just got the fourth headline on ESPN.com, and it was Ayuk tears MCL and ACL. Debo in the hospital.
Weird year.
I mean, the 49ers.
Things are weird there.
Look, anytime in the last 5 years, the answer to that question, a team you know is good, is the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be taking them on a road playoff game. I just get the feeling.
Really?
Yeah. We're going to have the conversation. They may mix and match parts, but they're getting healthy at the right time.
Let's do Stugotz's weekend observations on a Tuesday.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, last week, he flew to Los Angeles to hobnob with politicians via Zoom and get us ready for the upcoming LA Clippers season. He probably wanted to stay. I mean, what could possibly be more fun than planning for the apocalypse with Adam McKay? But once he realized what's going on in the NFC North, he knew his days were numbered. He knew he had to return. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, you are back.
Big sit down with Sedano.
You had more than that.
No, just went down there and did an 8-episode podcast sitting down with Jorge Sedano.
Speaking of back, Marcus Mariota. And tonight, the NBA is back.
Oh, Bronny and LeBron are going to be on the court at the same time. Syrupy story. No, Chris says Bronny's not playing. Didn't Adam Schefter report that Bronny and LeBron are going to get minutes together? Was it a fake Schefter account or a real Schefter account?
Darn? I don't know. Tonight's not about the association, though. We can do that for tomorrow. Tonight's about Frozen Frenzy. Yeah. Every NHL team in action.
I'm sorry.
And Vice Night.
But the NBA is back, right? I mean,
yeah, but it's Frozen Frenzy time.
Okay. Taj Gibson is a Hornet. I love a good hobnob.
I can't believe both basketball and hockey are already back. Jessica, you look like you're about to get slaughtered by sports.
I'm not ready for more Knicks.
With baseball. She's got to watch baseball this weekend,
The
too.
Mets lost, my God.
Were you surprised that Taj Gibson was still playing?
I wasn't, but only because Thibodeau resurrected him last year. I should
But
say.
he's a Hornet now.
I should say
Right.
I am surprised that someone other than Thibodeau has signed Taj Gibson.
I'm starting to think Rob Saleh wasn't the problem. I hate them. A tale as old as time. Kawhi Leonard out indefinitely to start the NBA season. I mean, seriously with this guy.
We apparently got down to the bottom of it. Dan got ball sacked.
Oh.
No.
That's a chug.
Unless I got ball sacked about your ball sack.
Damn
Possible.
it. Damn it.
That's ball sack inception.
Wow.
The Griffies are supposed to be there tonight.
Really?
Yeah, to watch it happen.
That's cool.
The ball sacking?
Isn't the ball sack already kind of like incepting the
It is.
balls?
And sometimes it actually goes inside you. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get up
True.
off the couch, like it's, whoa.
Stuck in
Did I
there.
get up too fast?
Yeah.
Is this in my, where is this? Do I have an ovary now?
Mm-hmm.
Damn you, Schefter, spelled differently.
Unfollow it, man.
Well, did it have a blue check? Yeah. Oh, there you go. It's easy, real easy to follow system they got over there.
Yep. Can't blame Texas for losing to Georgia. They were probably looking ahead to Vanderbilt.
What joy would you get from that, Ballsacker and Schefter? What joy? You tricked me. You made
That's the joy.
You made
Yes.
father and son. You made a father and son play minutes together tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Asshole.
Georgia.
You can still win this one. Like, you still have to play.
Right. Georgia. Do it against Alabama. Tennessee. Do it against Vanderbilt. Also, act like you've been there before. I mean, you cannot win a national championship and storm the field and try to take the goalpost out of the stadium. You can't do it. If you've ever won a national championship, you can't do it. You can't. Sorry.
John Oliver had a great bit on the local news in Vanderbilt of people legitimately confused. Why is the celebration something where you steal the goalposts and take it to the river? Like all the local anchors were like, what kind of way is that to celebrate anything?
We've gotten down to the bottom of this. Apparently, the Schefter thing is confusing us a little bit, but there is a hint from Brian Windhorst, Jess.
He said, I would expect, as long as the game is going okay, be in your seat at the start of the second quarter.
Wow.
This is a good time for the mumbling insider.
I don't know.
Should we-
Look into it.
He's right.
We're still developing the character.
Should we know that? I mean,
It's
a specific time?
Did I get ball sacked or did I not?
Well, it depends. You saw an Adam Schefter tweet? Because I can't find the Adam Schefter tweet.
But it'd be fake Schefter.
Right.
You can't find that
Well,
either?
it wasn't real Schefter because I just scrolled back to yesterday. But I could be looking at a different Schefter. So
I'm going to look it up right now.
All right.
Yeah, that should help.
Texas, welcome to the SEC. Kirby Smart saying nobody believed in us. Kirby, you're Georgia. Everybody believes in you. Patty Mills, Utah Jazz. Miami's best player is the ACC Command Center.
Dan, while you're looking that up, can you find out where I can find a special of the Carrier Dome? Yeah. I've been...
It's not the Carrier Dome.
2 weeks on this. I
I'm
can't
gonna-
find anything.
I'm going to get that for you right now.
Kalen DeBoer destroying what Nick Saban built over 17 years in just 7 games. Dan, you know what the D in DeBoer stands for?
I do not.
Destroying what Nick Saban built over 17 years. All it took for the Yankees to make it back to the World Series was Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Garrett Cole.
They're not exactly a lovable underdog.
No.
But all the Dodgers did was get Ohtani.
Yeah. They have 3 MVPs.
It's ridiculous. Stanton is Babe Ruth, and he's by far the third best of those hitters.
Yep. Before Friday, Duke was 0-22 all-time against Florida State. You know what that means, right, Dan?
I don't.
They were due.
Woof.
If the season ended today, Spags is the NFL MVP. All this time, we thought Kyle Shanahan's dad was Mike Shanahan. Turns out, all along, it was Spags. Kyle Shanahan, blah, blah, blah. Brock Purdy, blah, blah, blah. Joe Ingles, T. Wolf. How about that?
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Shocking, right?
And who is that?
Joe Ingles.
Tall guy.
From down under.
Looks a bit out of shape. Has the hair a bit combed over. Looks old. You don't understand
Matt Harpring?
how the game is that good.
Matt Harpring was good.
Are you
Pat Garrity?
Are you sure he's Australian?
Joe Ingles?
I think Joe Ingles is.
Australian, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to get that wrong.
He's on my all-time Australia team.
Really?
Yeah.
Who else is?
Andrew Gaze. Kyrie.
Andrew Bogut.
Thank you for the help. How'd you know? I've told you this before.
You had a top 5 Australia team you put together many years ago.
Huh. Interesting. For those keeping track at home, Mike Norvell should spell his last name with 6 L's. Stash this away in the Something to Ponder file. Is Lamar Jackson going to be this generation's Peyton Manning?
What does that mean?
I mean, just a guy, Tom Brady won all the Super Bowls. Peyton only won one, then he won a second one in Denver, but had nothing to do with it. My fear is Lamar is going to be blocked from winning any Super Bowls because he's playing at the same time as Patrick Mahomes.
And he's going to have a younger brother named Eli Jackson win the same amount to confuse the math.
A nephew named Arch.
Don't look now, but Indiana is 7-0. The Hoosiers. Indiana, more like Windiana. Lincoln Riley, fraud. USC, do it outside of the Pacific time zone. Lincoln Riley couldn't do it in the Big 12, didn't want to do it in the SEC, and can't do it in the Big 10. Lincoln Riley, Arizona Cardinals, offensive coordinator, collision course. Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla said he doesn't feel pressure to maximize the Celtics window because, quote, we're all going to be dead soon, and it really doesn't matter. Mazzulla, the Dan Le Batard, is strong in you. The big nap. Who says that? Does it matter?
It's a bit nihilistic, but we are all going to be dead soon. He's a really unusual champion in that he seems to have a great deal of perspective about where he is in the world compared to how sports matter.
You would think that.
Right. Dan Le Batard is strong in him. Harrison Barnes, San Antonio Spurs. Shocking. I know, Mike. I know. I can only see him in a Carolina jersey or Sacramento Kings. I know. The association. Where was I? Anything 4 yards or longer is considered third and long for Iowa. When Iowa's at 3rd and 4, they go 5 wide. All 5 wide receivers go exactly 4 yards. Every Juan Soto playoff home run adds $50 million to his contract this offseason. Taylor. Juan Soto, Brinks truck, collision course. Taylor. If you ever compared Emmanuel Clase to Mariano Rivera this season, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, what you're
Taylor.
doing there is so bad. What you're doing there is so wrong.
What?
The guy allows 1 run all season and then self-destructs in the playoffs, and you were only paying attention during the playoffs. You did not see a game he pitched this year.
When it counts, Dan.
Yeah, agreed.
October.
At the end of that series, I'm like, don't bring him in at any situations late.
How about we stop comparing guys to Mariano Rivera?
Statistically, he was.
No, he wasn't.
For half a season, he allowed a run.
Right. When you look at his hand, is there a ring on it? I mean, right.
All right.
I think he did put up a picture with a bunch of rings on it.
He did?
World Series.
All-Star rings.
Yeah.
They were all-star rings. That's when you know you're not Mariano Rivera. When you're flashing all-star game rings. I mean, what are you doing? He's got World Series rings.
It's so wrong of you to criticize when you did not watch a Guardian inning this
I don't even know who he
season.
is,
I know you don't.
He's a pitcher?
He was so good this year.
Random baseball thoughts from the golf course on a gummy. Todd Helton should have won the MVP in 2000. Led the National League in hits, WAR, RBIs. He batted .372. Unfortunately, he also led the league in Coors Field.
That helps.
What a season for Helton. The 94 Tennessee quarterback room was special. Helton, Peyton Manning. 2 Hall of Famers. How about that? Huh?
Is Todd Helton a Hall of Famer?
He is, of course. Todd Helton, a Hall of Famer.
It took him a bit, but I think he did get in.
He finished 5th that season in MVP voting.
Coors Field. Yeah.
Didn't Dante Bichette have a season where he finished top
so
5
good.
just because
So
he
good.
played in Denver? Like, that's such a great advantage. Thin air.
Yeah. Dan, you lead the NL in hits, WAR, RBIs, and bat 372, and you finished 5th in the MVP voting.
Well, everyone was on steroids.
Coors Field.
No, but he was at Coors Field, and the other 4 guys are all going to be steroid guys.
Jeff Kent won that year, who led the league in getting batting protection from Barry Bonds.
Bichette finished 2nd in 1995 to Barry Larkin.
Wow. Larkin had no business winning that.
He had like 40 RBIs that season.
It's 66. What was he good at that year? I'm
He's
trying
just
to
playing
figure out.
How good was his average?
What were Bichette's numbers?
No, look at what. Look, if you want to go back in time when everyone was doing the math all wrong, go ahead and go put Barry Larkin's MVP season against Bichette's and laugh. I want you to put those 2 seasons next to each
So
other.
Barry Larkin that season, 15 home runs, 66 RBIs, 319 batting average, 886 OPS. Then Dante Bichette, 40 home runs, 128 RBIs, 340 batting average, 984 OPS.
That can't be real. It feels like an Alex Gonzalez year.
That's so good.
It was so funny.
It's a different time.
No, it wasn't just a different time. It's the steroids guys against the thin air guys. Who's got the biggest advantage?
5.9 WAR for Barry Larkin, 1.2 for Dante Bichette.
I think it was Coors.
Larkin was clean. I
That's
have
what
to
it
believe.
was.
That's what clean numbers look like.
I
Yes.
have to believe.
That was 95. It was before anyone knew, right?
That's correct. But yes, and if you look at the next few seasons, all you will see at the top of all of these distorting numbers is steroids.
Or Coors Field.
Or Coors Field.
Yep. Aaron Judge, do it in the World Series. Shohei Ohtani, do it in the World Series. Baseball's 2 biggest stars in its 2 biggest markets. Congratulations to the real winners, Major League Baseball. It's going to be a fun World Series.
You're going to care.
For the whole ball of wax. The Fall Classic. If the Dodgers win the World Series, it doesn't count for Clayton Kershaw in my personal record book. StugottsBook.com. He's done nothing. Nothing. Army, the rare team that plays so hard for the name on the front of the jersey that they put it on the back too. Thank you for your service. If Notre Dame ruins either Navy or Army's perfect seasons, they should be charged for treason.
I agree. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. If Notre Dame ruins both Army and Navy season, should they be charged with treason?
DeMar DeRozan, Sacramento King. Did you know that?
Yeah,
he chose them over Miami.
No, he didn't.
That's why
Miami
Mike knows that.
No one chooses
Yeah,
Sacramento.
Miami had a competitive offer, and it was up to DeRozan, and he picked Sacramento. Culture.
I'd be more likely to vote Notre Dame into the playoffs if they lose to Army and Navy. That's a sacrifice, Dan. I like sacrifice.
Do it for your country, Notre Dame.
Not enough is made out of people shelling thousands of dollars out for the Army-Navy game, only for that game to be meaningless, potentially. It's not even the most meaningful Army-Navy game.
Because they'll announce the playoff already.
Well, and they're going to play in the conference championship game. If they both win out.
The last time the Patriots lost 6 straight games, the Jaguars did not exist. It's amazing. I love pointing out when a punter might have outkicked his coverage.
You love saying it like
I'm listening.
So as the as the punt returner,
I see the
is
punt go. I see the returner. I tell my wife Abby that they have outkicked the coverage, and it just feels good.
You say that to your
Salguero's there
television
now.
too, as well, Chris Cody. Do you do that?
I always do that, Dan.
Seems like the Falcons start every game down 10-0. Thank you. New York Jets, quarterback away. Devontae Adams. You could have played with Josh Allen. Amari Cooper, instant dividends. Stat of the day, the Steelers have had 3 head coaches in 55 years. The Jets have had 2 in the last 2 weeks. I hate them. The Jets could win a Super Bowl with Justin Fields.
Chuck Knox.
Bill Cowherd.
Don't look now, but Russell Wilson just might be playing himself back into the Hall of Fame. Does any quarterback have less of a right to complain than Daniel Jones? Danny Dimes. More like Danny Wines. College game day. Stealing. If the season ended today from us, after we did it with Reese Davis 5 days earlier, college game day, all of you, the entire production, the Stugotz, is strong in you.
Whoa, you're taking out the whole production.
I mean, I love those guys. Jonathan Wiley, Reese Davis, Kirk, Pat. I love all of them, but they stole our idea. I mean,
I think Wiley's behind those amazing Saban inside the game segments.
He's so good.
Killing it.
Wiley is so
Wiley's
good.
one of the best producers.
Yeah, he's great.
He's phenomenal. I ran into him in Cal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's doing great. He said hello.
All right. Well, tell him I said hi.
Okay.
Next time you see him.
Hopefully Charlotte.
Peyton and Eli receiving all the credit for Arch, even though neither of them is his father. Collision course. East Carolina fired their head coach after a 3-4 start. The AD said they were expecting better. They were. He also said, we have high expectations. They do? The Pirates.
I have given up on trying to find that Schefter story, and I've given up on trying to find that Carrier Dome television show. Somebody in the audience, please send. They don't believe me. I know I saw at the beginning of a season of architectural amazing things, 15 minutes on the Carrier Dome. I know I saw it. I know I did. I'm not making that up. Why would I be making that up?
It'd be an odd thing to make up.
It was on Max,
Right.
and it was as part of what's happened with Discovery. It wasn't a Max show. It was a Discovery show. Somebody help me here.
Wide receivers are dropping like flies.
They really are.
Hell is going on. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Is Bronny playing with LeBron tonight? Yes or no? And we can talk about
Start of the second quarter.
We can talk about hockey as well because the Panther season has quietly started at the top of the standings.
He may be, but you still got ball sacked.
And then you got ball sacked by his ball sack.
Don't say that again, please.
That's right. It's time for Against the Spread. And it is sponsored by our friends at DraftKings. Stay tuned because you're going to hear all about DraftKings and what it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Jess, kick us off.
Ooh, I am going to pick a game in college football.
Oh, I like it. Teasing
this
us.
weekend.
Wow.
And I'm going to pick an ACC matchup between North Carolina and Virginia. Virginia's favored by 4.
You're a sicko.
They've been feisty this season.
Classic ACC matchup.
And I think that they're going to cover this. I think they're going to cover 4 points against North Carolina. Carolina's having a really rough year. Mac Brown, one of the hottest seats, I think, in college football right now.
Ooh, the hottest
talking
seat.
about.
The hottest.
I mean, he quit.
Hotter than Mississippi State's or Mississippi Southern's head coach that got fired yesterday.
I think we got to do one of the hottest
Southern
seats.
Mississippi.
How many?
I can't talk right now.
How many?
I got this.
The spread.
How many hot seats?
That's
Kayla
what I wanted
DeBoer.
to do. But
Ooh.
Jessica, I don't know what happened to Jessica. We're just starting the segment. I thought we were going to take flight together.
Venables is always on a hot seat, but that's just because he's perpetually got a chapped red ass.
You're right.
He signed an extension before the season.
I mean,
Put it on the poll, please.
Extensions mean nothing.
Juju
Terrible
at
head
the
coach.
LeBatard Show. Is Venables perpetually on the hot seat because he's always got a chapped ass?
Let's go over to Mike.
Frozen Frenzy, as we mentioned, every game in the National Hockey League, every team in the National Hockey League has a game today, and it concludes in Las Vegas with the LA Kings, who have surprised this season, at the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas, the favorite at home. We're going to lay the puck line on Vegas, even though we have respect for the opponent.
Much respect.
We like -1.5 at +180 against the spread. I also think Theodore gets a point.
Billy, bring us home.
This is tough this week. What? Oh. This is tough this week.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of games here that I'm between. I was thinking maybe taking the Patriots +7 over the Jets because I don't have confidence in the Jets.
Let's really talk it out.
What are we going to do
You
about
have confidence
Reddick
in the
coming back?
Patriots,
I don't.
though?
Oh, Drake, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not. We're not sure about that one.
Ooh, can we play that?
It's a good game.
We
It's
just
a good
did.
game.
That was it.
Commanders +2.5
That's the game.
looked good, but we don't. Jaden Daniels,
What's
is he going
the
to play?
game?
We don't know or
What's
not.
the game?
Maybe or maybe not.
Yeah, Drake maybe. Drake maybe.
Game
His name's
over.
Drake May. And then you figure out week by week. Maybe.
Your thoughts, Dan?
Maybe not.
Sometimes you have a question mark, sometimes you don't.
It's maybe right now, right?
I think I'm going to settle on the Saints +7 over the Chargers. Now, the Saints have not looked good as of late, but I watched the Chargers last night, and we had a great game from Justin Herbert, who threw almost 350 yards, almost all of them to Will Dissly for some
You're
reason.
betting Spencer Rattler?
That's a choice.
I'm betting against the spread, but I'm getting against the Chargers winning by 7 points because I don't have confidence in the Chargers winning by 7 points.
All right,
I'm not sure. Yesterday, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this.
He's not done yet. I
No,
told
listen,
you.
I need everyone to stop right
He's
now.
talking
okay?
through it.
We are in a contract year.
Correct, and I'm
okay?
giving this some-
DraftKings is changing the entire industry and wants us to do these well when we do the gambling segments. Jessica ran out of steam before we started. Mike went hockey aggressively, and now you're yammering your way through your pick, and I don't know what you're thinking. You're
explaining to
asking
people.
me to watch a Spencer Rattler game.
I'm trying to explain to people.
I actually think Tomas Hertl will also score a point in that.
20 and
know I
11
was
in my
going
big board
first.
bets, I'll have you know.
Power play point. You get
What
extra
are we
juices on that
organized
one.
around here? We've got a sponsored segment. I didn't know I was going first. Billy doesn't have any material. He's
That's
just
false.
yammering.
No.
Hey,
By the
I
way,
won mine last week.
I'm 30-17. Stugotz NFL. I mean,
20
doing my
and,
part.
20 and 11. Big board bets. Not bad.
So if
Will
we
Dissly
go to
looks
God Bless
ridiculous.
Football, where
What?
you have
That was a big
sponsored
game.
segments on your picks, that's where we'll get your real expertise. Stugotz
trying
and
to
Billy
give it
are
to
making people money away from here.
You'd let
All
me
they're
talk.
doing in a contract year is ruining this
You're making this
particular
go long.
segment.
Third
Third time through the bed.
I
All
didn't
right.
do anything. I mean,
He's trying to make a pick.
Trying to
and
make
they
a
won't
pick
shut
here,
up.
talk you through my logic here. I didn't even talk about Harbaugh wearing cleats yesterday on the
I go over
sidelines.
1.5 too.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Why?
I don't know because it's a dome. It wasn't even bad elements, but he was wearing cleats. Is odd.
He's a Kopitar.
He's a
Always
weird
gets
bird,
it.
huh?
He is.
Anyways,
Ooh, who's got it
I'll
better than us?
nobody. Anyways, I'm gonna stick with the Saints +7 against the Chargers.
Against the spread.
The spread.
Contract year for everybody's jobs. Sponsored segment that DraftKings has asked us to do well.
I mean, not everybody's jobs. I think we're good.
I'm
Just the new
trying.
people, really.
Like Dan, Stu, you're good. Hey, you guys are good.
I'm not so sure.
Ethan, though?
I would like to point out to
year.
everybody, because I do think it's perpetually funny as we analyze the hell out of football at every turn, and we all think we know what we're talking about, and everyone around here is sick of me pointing out what I think is one of the most flabbergasting things of my lifetime, which is that somebody who was a 6-time executive of the year in football couldn't see the future coming so obviously that he thought Lamar Jackson couldn't play quarterback in the NFL, that he was somebody who should be playing a different position because Bill Polian's analysis of what looks like a quarterback looks like Peyton Manning. And so from there, long before Colin Kaepernick, race is infecting the thinking of people who are leaders and visionaries in that sport. So, Stugotz, look at the company Lamar Jackson is in, with games with 5+ touchdowns and 0 interceptions since 1950.
Okay.
An executive of the year 6 times said this person could not play quarterback in the league, was better as a wide receiver.
In fairness to that executive, and it's ridiculous, I made fun of him forever, but he would be probably the greatest wide receiver in the history of football. I mean,
Lamar Jackson is obviously a great athlete, but he was forced by the way that system was to prove it to everyone, drafted lower than he should have been when, Chris Sims was telling you this is the obviously best quarterback. Games with 5+ touchdowns and interceptions since 1950. Tom Brady has 8. but it took him to 45 years old to get them all. Think
Right.
of Lamar Jackson's age. Drew Brees has 8, but it took him to 40 to get them all.
Right.
Lamar Jackson already has as many as Peyton Manning, 5, as many as Aaron Rodgers, 5, and as many as Ben Roethlisberger, 5. How old is Lamar Jackson? That's very fast that he's gotten to these games where he has these perfect games of no interceptions, 5 touchdowns, and also they've got the best rushing attack in league history.
He's 27 years old. Do it in the postseason.
Okay, agreed.
Dan, that's why I said earlier
Agreed.
I really want him to win because I don't want to apply postseason stuff to Lamar Jackson.
Agreed.
He might be the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play the game.
But it's the last place the goalposts will be allowed to move.
Yes.
Is guy who couldn't play quarterback win the Super Bowl and then win it again. But he will have gotten to where all the other goalposts were moved on him as a black quarterback, revolutionizing the game, because we also said he'd be hurt. And he plays an awful lot with a running style that is now backed by a guy that somehow was available for 1 year, $9 million. Nobody wanted Derrick Henry because the running back is disposable. Oh, look, you put him on Lamar Jackson's team, and all of a sudden, they've got the best rushing attack in league history, and they go to Tampa and put up 41 because they'll put up 40 on anybody except in the playoffs.
Yeah, for better or worse, though. It may not be the first thing they say about him, but it's probably the second. It's the top 2 thing they say about Marino. It's the top 2 thing they say about Charles Barkley. He's got to do it. He can't beat a team that's not scoring over 13 points in the playoffs. Like he's got to do it.
Agreed. And the last place that the goalposts will move, it's not just the title, and this is how you've got to earn it, because it's not
the
just
second
the title.
one. Yeah.
And no, it's not just the title in the second one. This is the mind bleep of everything that Brady did to distort the system. Man, Mike has talked about this all season. Every quarterback before Brady, precipitous drop when they get to Aaron Rodgers' age. That happens every time history of the league. Brady changed how all of this is viewed. As it relates to Lamar Jackson, though, and this is when you're fighting generational people right in front of everybody's face for legacy on what the history record books say. It's not just that he has to win 2 titles. Hey, Lamar, you got to do it over Mahomes. Like, you got to get past that guy, because that guy's in the 20s in all the statistical categories. And every game I'm watching, I'm like, man, they're already using up his body, and it takes everything he's got to convert that 3rd and 8 on a 9-yard pass on that winning drive. But we all believe that guy's going to get it done in the playoffs. We're all terrified already because at 27, he's looking like he's going to grab the Brady stuff.
Yes.
From here,
Yep.
if you give him a good defense, Lamar Jackson has to do the hardest thing. He's got to beat an all-timer right now in the prime of his Hall of Fame career. And if he keeps finishing second to him, it'll be a blight and indictment on him, even though, Stugotz, you will find very few quarterbacks ever who have 3 MVPs.
It's crazy. But, Dan, he had an opportunity to do that to Patrick last year at home, and he put up 10 points.
And this season they played at Kansas City, and Mahomes beat him again.
Yeah.
But you realize that the only standard, the goalposts have moved on Lamar Jackson so much that it's, hey, wide receiver who can't play quarterback. Now you're only going to prove it to us if you beat Mahomes for the title. Because even if you beat Mahomes once and then lose in the Super Bowl, we'll be right there to breathe on your neck as somebody who can't do it when it matters.
What if Lamar Jackson's actually the best quarterback and Patrick Mahomes is chasing him?
What?
But the Super Bowl titles. Yeah, but the MVPs. I mean, Dan pointed out there's very few with 3. You have Unitas, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning, who doesn't have 3 Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson has 3 MVPs. All of a sudden, maybe he's actually the great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is chasing him, and we've been following the wrong guy around because Patrick Mahomes has been elevated by his weapons.
We've been following the wrong stat around, is what you're trying
Possibly.
to say. Yes, it's MVPs and not Super Bowls.
That's what Greg was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the great frustrations
Interesting.
I have about our football analysis around here is that Mina Kimes keeps saying that wins are not a quarterback stat, and Stugotz is going to go to the grave, man, holding on to wins as a quarterback stat. Yes, Mike. Yesterday on the show, Greg Cody was making the argument, backed fully by Stugotz's endorsement, that 0 Super Bowls are almost as good as Aaron Rodgers' 1 Super Bowl.
The actual argument was that
It's-
1 is
yeah.
sometimes worse than 0.
Yeah, it's all about expectations. When you're Aaron Rodgers and there's clear and obvious talent and you only win 1, not good. Trent Dilfer, where there's no indication of any sort of talent, he wins 1, that's great.
But what do you mean? The Ravens defense is the best statistically in the history of the sport.
Yeah, but Trent Dilfer is not.
What do I do with Flacco?
This year they're not. The
But
Ravens
Trent
defense
Dilfer,
hasn't
no one
been good.
expected Dilfer to ever win a Super Bowl. He got on a team. He was lucky to win 1, but he got 1. That's enough for Trent Dilfer. 1 is not enough for Aaron Rodgers.
Like, Mike, remember how big that second one was for Peyton?
Yeah, but he was bad.
Yeah, but he got a second.
Still huge.
Yeah, but I can't forget about how bad he was in that one.
Plus
We
the
can all
5
agree.
MVPs.
He's got 2.
guys. Yeah,
Last
5
year's
MVPs.
Chiefs Super Bowl, that was a Super Bowl for Spags, not for Mahomes.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's really 2.
So he really has 2.
That's not the way it works, though, Jessica,
I don't
because
know,
Brady
Dan.
gets all 7, even though a couple of those were won by the defense.
all
Brady
of them.
gets all
All
7.
of them were fluky. I don't give Brady any Super Bowl.
No
What?
Super Bowl.
All of them.
Brady.
What?
All
Well, he
of
did
them.
have one. He
David
Wow.
Tyree. Oh, don't hand it off to Marshawn Lynch.
Well,
Goose-
he
goose
lost
egg.
the David Tyree one.
You don't give Brady any Super
you're
Bowls?
No, you
Zero.
can give him the one in Jacksonville.
You got to give
Oh,
him the
Deion
one
Branch was
over.
MVP in
You
that
got to
one.
give him the one over Jake Delhomme.
The Falcons.
But if you beat Jake Delhomme, did you win the Super Bowl?
But we agree he has
They were all
2
fluky.
max.
But Jake Delhomme, to Billy's point, was better off not winning that Super Bowl.
I would have given him all the
Yeah.
credit in
Yeah.
the world for the Kansas City one, but it was a home game and pandemic.
By Jake Delhomme losing that Super Bowl, he contributed more to NFL history than he would have had he won it.
Right.
You can't even argue that.
Yes.
By giving Brady another one?
Correct.
course,
yes.
How funny would it be if that's one of Brady's blemishes? It's
Beating
just-
Jake Delhomme?
Like he's taking down Mahomes in a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, he's his greatest rival, and then it's just Eli and Jake Delhomme
The Falcons
waving
one
at him.
should
Yeah.
not count.
What?
That's
One of the
Overtime.
greatest comebacks
At
in
some
NFL
point,
history.
it's too good of a comeback.
I'm here to
Doesn't
listen
count.
to it. Yeah. Go on. State your case.
Rigged.
Wow, rigged.
A comeback can be too big.
Yep. You're better off not coming back at all.
Right. Case closed.
The case is not closed. The case was only opened by you guys because I'm surrounded by a bunch of monkeys who open cases. Like what you guys have done to this show the last 2 days, arguing,
It was Greg.
no,
Dan, I have a tummy ache. Nothing I say is legally binding, okay?
that is not how
Fact
this
checks
works.
out. That checks
That
out.
doesn't
Fact
check out.
check.
Case closed.
But that's not a binding contract. I have a tummy ache, therefore my arguments stink.
She has also 24 hours to take back anything. That's another rule.
I thought it was till the end of
End of the
segments.
segment.
Yeah, but tummy ache.
It's not 24 hours.
With tummy ache, it's 24
Yeah,
hours.
it is.
Thank you, Chris. Slippery slope.
You're welcome, Jess.
Put up on the screen, finally, somebody who is doing work for me as opposed to people who produce this show who don't produce it.
The Texas fan with the hair? Oh.
Here is the evidence that Engineering Catastrophes, it is the first show of a season on the Carrier Dome. Right here, Engineering Catastrophes is the name of the show.
Wait,
and
you told me that it was a special that praised its architectural wonder.
Ah, the old bait and switch.
And this is the episode that's called Stadium Disaster?
This is starting to make more sense.
What? Engineering
Were
catastrophes.
you like hoping to watch buildings collapse when you watched Engineering Catastrophes?
Slippery slope.
The Carrier Dome has as its roof a fabric like T-shirts to hold up the entirety of the pressurized dome.
Apparently not. It's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
It's under the episode called Stadium Disaster. You painted this as a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreed.
Next, you're going to come to work and be like, oh, I heard about this really cool long haul flight that goes over the Indian Ocean. I saw it on a show on HBO. Malaysian airline.
The reason you guys could not find
Malaysian marvels.
anywhere on the internet is because I indeed got the entire premise of the show wrong. The Carrier Dome is not an engineering marvel. It was representative number 1, show 1 of season 1 on an engineering total catastrophe.
Why'd you put it on?
I was tired. It's late at night and I was looking, don't tell me you haven't been here, for exactly 14 minutes of television.
Oh, I've been there.
I was not looking for
You
something.
just watched the 14 minutes where they were like, well, we thought this was going to be a great stadium, and then you didn't watch the other
But-
30. I get it now.
There was all sorts of stuff I learned, including that portion of Syracuse, New York, there is more snowfall per year than anywhere in the United States. And so the fabric on top of the Carrier Dome is very flimsy and holding up a great deal of snow. And you need it because the dome is pressurized. And every time someone opens a door, you risk the roof falling in.
I used to play soccer in a dome like this in Illinois, and every time you walked in, your ears would pop a little bit. It was horrible.
Can you guys get for me, please, the sound I was trying to get to about 40 minutes ago of Kirby Smart saying that basically at this point in our lives in sports, the throwing of things on the field is something that's going to be rewarded. We cannot have a situation in sports. We agree on this, do we not? Because we just saw this in Dodgers-Padres. You can't be throwing things on the field, but you certainly can't be throwing things on the field and then getting rewarded for it. Play the sound of Kirby Smart.
He just said the guy got it wrong, or the guy called it on the wrong guy, which it took him a long time to realize that, you know. So it's one of those things that I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say, so I won't comment because I want to respect the wishes of the SEC office. But I will say that now we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger athletes, that you got a chance to get your call reversed. And that's unfortunate because, to me, that's dangerous. That's not what we want. And that's not criticizing officials. That's what happened.
I was worried about this, but I feel like McConaughey covered it. I feel like it won't happen again because of that statement that he made.
That was the slippery slope that you were talking about, that fans will get increasingly more angry and do more and more rash things so that they'll overturn a call. Not the slippery slope you mentioned last week, which was that it was bad for Sky Judge to overturn a call so that a team wouldn't have to use their challenge.
I actually think that is still slippery. Like, I have not closed the book on that slippery slope. Like, you can't just, like, there are a lot of calls throughout the game. You can't just say, this one in the middle of the game, that penalty, that pass interference, we decided we're going to flip that one. Like, maybe put challenges in there. Maybe one team can have a bad call, like one bad call reverse the game. Like, it has to be even. You can't just pick and choose when you flip calls around.
Stugotz, do you not feel it's a bit dangerous to have a number of the ingredients that we're talking about at sporting events late in games? So it's Saturday, you've been drinking all day, you don't know how many unhappy people there just are generally in the world these days, angry about a million different things, including that things cost too much and it's hard to make the amount of money that you need in a divided America to not be angry and trying to blow off steam on Saturdays. We respect the athletes less than we ever have. There's a disconnect between how human they are and what we're entitled to in entertainment that make us throw popcorn at Russell Westbrook after the pandemic and just throws things on the field. Do you not believe, as we head toward an election here in 3 weeks, that there are a bunch of ingredients here that are going to lead to bad stuff when you have people entitled enough to throw things at a Dodger-Padre game onto the field because they don't like how, the outfielders are gyrating?
I mean, fans have been doing this for a long time. I'm not saying it's right, but they've been doing it forever.
Dude, I was at that Cal game. Yeah. There were 24 bottles thrown at our players, and not a camera caught it. It was a bad, ugly scene, and security was late to it, and the students at Cal Berkeley just totally skated on it.
Is it almost like how they don't show people running on the field? Like, you almost don't want to show it because now you show all the Texas fans doing it.
Brother.
I feel like it's more likely to happen after showing it.
Bruv, if those were Miami fans throwing 24 bottles at Cal players, they would have shown it.
I'm just saying, maybe you don't show it, or maybe you handle it the way you handle streakers. Like, if you really want to discourage this, don't show it.
I'd show streakers so you could laugh at how little their wieners are.
Yeah.
I always want to see the streaker,
My wiener
but they
gets
never
smaller
do.
when I run.
Public shaming.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid
That'll
to
stop
admit
it.
that.
But if you have a small wiener, you probably shouldn't streak.
I'm not saying it's smaller. I'm just saying
Mike just said his gets smaller when he runs.
Smaller
Pressure,
when you
it's just
run.
like you're running.
Right, I'm running. Yeah.
It's natural for it to go inside.
California's
it's like, we're moving
sneaky
right now.
cold, too. California can get sneaky cold at night.
Yeah. Well, I'm not often running in California.
Yeah. Right.
But you would have been if you had streaked at the game at California where there were being bottles thrown.
I wanted to.
But
my knees were shaking so much. I was so nervous.
What's ideal streaking like weather? Like
down here in Miami
location?
where it's nice and muggy.
Swampy.
Yeah. Nice and muggy.
Swampy?
Yeah, I'm like.
You look good.
Yeah, I'm like
Really?
ready. It's a good energy. I'm basically ready for prime time down here.
Billy,
all
what are
time.
you?
Don't do it this weekend. We're saying don't do it.
What are you alleging is prime streaking?
I don't know.
weather?
I'm asking. I don't know. I'm not one to streak.
I'm saying low 70 degrees.
Yeah.
Low 70. I go low 80s.
Honestly, like my
The
penis,
hotter the better.
My penis is like the last thing I'm worried about if I go streaking.
What are you worried about?
I'm not worried. No one's got to judge my penis.
The landles.
I'm all right. It's the love handles, the nipples, for
I
sure.
knew you were going to say nipples.
I'm right
my
there with
ass, I'm not crazy about my ass. It's
right-
okay, but I'm
right
not
there with
crazy
you.
about it.
Right there with you.
Feet, I'd be more worried about, someone, you know how sometimes you see a still photo of someone like walking in flip-flops? What if that happens to me? And everyone thinks that I have this jacked up foot. But no, it's just in the air, and that's how toes work sometimes.
I'd rather have you see my penis than my hairline.
I have a good-looking penis.
Prove it.
I have a good-looking penis. Like, straight up, I'm proud of it. That's all right. But, like, the foot, no thank you.
But not proud of it running.
Well,
in cold weather.
Well, you know, if I apply the logic of being worried about someone taking a photo of my foot in the air because the toes are doing its own thing, it stands to reason that my penis would also be doing its own thing.
Yeah.
It's a perspective thing. If they catch it front on.
Stadium lighting, though, should be fine in that.
You're also worried about just the general optics of flopping in movement, right? You're just worried about the photography being unfair to you.
If it's raining outside and I'm not wearing a hat, I'm not going to run.
Because of how your hair would look?
Yes,
in the
you
rain?
have that overhead lighting in a stadium. It's just, I'm not doing that.
My penis does much better with wind than my hair does.
Chris, I've got to tell you that you streaking without wearing a hat, you'd have to wear a hat while streaking.
No.
But
it's not streaking.
But no, I know.
Oh, wait, you're not circumcised?
Wait a minute. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is it streaking if you're wearing a hat? Because I think it is. If you're otherwise nude, I still think it's streaking.
Oh, you mean a hat for that head?
But Chris
and
Cody,
shoes because it's sticky.
But
that was a callback.
It's a callback to Naked Chris.
Yeah.
Chris running without a hat also protects you because I think more people are going to be pointing at your hairline.
I'm no Texas fan. Let's put it that way.
Than your penis. I do believe your hairline it creates enough shame distraction so that the initial glance is not going to be lower body with you on streaking.
I didn't think you could have too good of a hairline, and then I saw the Texas fan. I'm moving it away from me, Dan. We're going to this Texas fan.
But again, though,
it's right behind you. Look.
Yeah, we see what you're doing.
Again, though, I just want to ask all of you, the combination of human beings are generally angry. The athlete is generally being dehumanized. We're unhappy with officiating and unhappy in general. We're going to hit the wrong person with a bottle soon. I think that a lot of people will hear the name Danny Green and they will do sort of a word association with every time he shot a basketball, I thought it was going in.
Yep.
It seemed like it was always going to go in. That is not how I remember Danny Green. The way that I remember Danny Green is that in a way that was very confusing to me during very important basketball games, he is the best defender that I have ever seen in the open court when LeBron and Dwayne Wade have a 2-on-1 on him and somehow he can strip the ball. And I don't understand how it is that Danny Green, who I associate with shooting, could stop the most unstoppable thing I've seen in basketball.
So just in that situation.
Correct. I thought he was the best defender in the open court that I have ever seen in pivotal moments. I didn't understand it. How many times in the open court did you do something that you have no business doing because that was supposed to be unstoppable in the open court?
I mean, I've been lucky in some of those situations because it really is a gamble. But it's surprisingly, and I said, I'm very humbling that you remember that, and I pride myself on that. And one of the main things I want to be remembered for is one of the best defensive guards, and also one of the best shot blocking guards. So usually in open court, I'm more efficient at trailing the play. If somebody's there to help slow them down, I can catch it at the rim or at the backboard. But when it's me on 2-on-1 or even a 1-on-1, it's a gamble, or even a 3-on-1. I have to kind of read the person with the ball's eyes in his mind and figure out, is he going to throw this way? Is he going to go left? Is he going to pass it? Do I make him give it up? So it's kind of a gamble. So I've been lucky in a lot of situations, and I'm not really a great gambler. to say the least.
Stugotz, he's a 3-time champion. I would assume that most people would just think he won those championships with the Spurs because they were playing in important games, but he won them with the Lakers and the Raptors and the Spurs. Can you tell us now, Danny, going back, what are something from those Heat Spurs series that can be told now that people do not know or do not remember? Were you guys as mad at Popovich for not having Duncan in there to rebound a ball that Chris Bosh rebounded as everyone else seemed to be?
No, we thought, Pop, nothing Pop did we thought was wrong. We thought he always made the right calls. And in the moments, we weren't even thinking about it. We were trying to go small so that we could play the three-point line because we were up. We missed a couple free throws. But no, we didn't think he made the wrong call. Obviously, looking back at it, we'd be like, oh, it might have been nice to have Timmy. But no, and I was so young, I never questioned anything. I was young and dumb, didn't know much about the game. And I was one of the younger, not even a vet at the time. So there wasn't like, oh, why are we doing this? Oh, we should do this. It was just like, oh, okay, we're doing this. All right, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So maybe some of the older guys in the moment were like, maybe we should do this, that, or maybe some of the assistant coaches. But myself, along with everybody else that played, nobody really questioned Pop or thought any decision he made was the wrong one.
Can you give us a visual snapshot of what you walked back into in the locker room after Ray Allen made that shot?
After we lost, it was very, very dead locker room. It was dreadful, man. Just the dinner, I think we were in shock the whole rest of, I don't think anybody knew what to say, or you could just see it on their people's faces and in their minds. You could read people's minds of just, couldn't believe what happened. We couldn't believe that we lost that. We can't believe that took place. So it was very quiet. It was a dreadful area. It's gloomy. All the words you can think of that describe something that was not a happy place.
Danny, did you guys think it was over?
No. We knew we had another opportunity when we played better. We just knew how tough it would be in Game 7. So at that moment, it felt like it was over that night. But once, after you get over it, you watch film, you see the mistakes you made and things that could have changed. You look at okay, we have another game to play. And we, Pop, coaching staff, and even our leaders put good encouragement in us and belief in us that we could, win the next game. So we didn't think the whole time that it was over. But that night, it kind of felt like it was over. But the next couple of days, next day or so, it took us some time to recoup. But we had belief in ourselves. In Game 7, we played our asses off. But, they hit some big shots. Brian hit some threes. Mike Miller, James Jones. They had a bunch of guys hit big shots. And they got it. It was a close series.
You had a chance to make that Heat team underachievers forever. That team winning only one championship would have made them a historical.
Now you're coming around.
A historical.
It just would have made them the Celtics.
Wow. Celtics, wow.
It's not a narrative that's out there about that big three. It's kind of weird. Now, I actually Googled, and it turns out you have missed three-pointers, which really confused me. As a Heat fan, I never thought that you
I don't believe
missed.
it. Yeah.
It seemed as though in most of the finals, and I know in the bubble, is actually you did miss shots in that bubble because I remember being floored. Wow, he missed. But it kind of seemed like you were playing with the confidence that if you got the ball and you were open, you were flatly not missing. I imagine you heard when players had a defensive breakdown around you, they sighed because they knew what was coming, and that ball was going through the net. Did you feel that confident?
During that time, yes. I felt very confident. I had a great group of guys around me, coaching staff, teammates, and just encouraging. And yes, I think there was a moment where I was feared, or moments where I was feared at the three-point arc. I had to earn that, over some years of shooting it well. But yes, most of us do miss more than we make. So I do miss shots. And I do remember, the bubble being very different because I'm a player that feeds off the energy in the building, right? And especially in my younger years, there was a big discrepancy between how well I shot on the road and how well I shot at home. And not having fans there was a drastic change for everybody in the bubble. But being able to play in front of our group, in front of fans, even quiet in the crowd, it gave me a confidence. It gave me an energy that, was unlike any other. So I can just go out there and hoop and just have fun. But I also focus on just trying to beat them and not really thinking on, making mistakes or thinking about missing or making shots. It was just, these guys are beatable and we can prove the world wrong. And I could be a part of that. So I was just trying to do my best to to prove everyone wrong about myself and about our group.
I hadn't heard that about the bubble, that the crowd could be a positive thing for certain players. You just outlined
100%.
that you fed off the crowd, because if you look at that finals, Anthony Davis kind of shot like you from 3-point distance there. There were a lot of guys that went, TJ Warren went crazy in the bubble. The sight lines.
The no crowd helped them.
The sight lines in particular from that lit studio essentially helped them shoot from distance. And your numbers, I remember that final being surprised that you were missing, because if this guy has perfect sight lines, he should be making them nonstop, and you were missing the crowd
It seemed
behind
like
you.
everyone else was shooting better than they've ever shot, and you weren't.
Some. It's like it affected some people differently than others. Some guys could adjust to it, some guys couldn't. And obviously, we were all in different headspaces. It's probably an emotional toll being in that space more than anything, mentally and emotionally. Physically, it's taxing, but being in that space, it affected everyone differently. Everyone reacted. Some guys played better, some guys didn't. And I think it took a lot of guys time to adjust. Even Bron, he's definitely a fan favorite, like a crowd player. He's a guy that plays to the crowd, whether it's good or bad. He feeds off of, obviously the energy at home and then on the road of trying to, shut everybody up. And you could tell even when we first got there, it took him some time to get used to playing without a crowd.
When did you guys know you're going to break the AC on purpose to rob the Heat of a championship?
What's crazy? I didn't even know it was broken until after the game. I'm so unaware of what the hell's going on. That
Likely
at
story.
halftime, I'm like, why is there so many fans? I'm like, why is it so fucking hot? We had fans in the locker room, and I'm noticing. I'm like, what? And at the end of the game, like, oh, the AC was broken. I think I noticed maybe at halftime, and I'm like, why is it so hot? And I'm like, why do we have fans in here? And I didn't understand what was going on. But then they were like, oh, I think the AC is broken. So yeah, we were just playing, and then obviously there was some crampage happening. With both sides, and
No,
mainly you guys' side.
They're both sides.
It only affected LeBron. It only affected LeBron.
You made LeBron cramp.
The building maybe said he was dehydrated. There's a lot of it was hot as hell in there, man. I wouldn't say we had more subs than them, but he definitely. I think the series the way it was, he wasn't able to take as many breaks as he'd like to. In most playoff series, he's not. He plays 35 plus minutes in playoff series. So that can affect you. And I didn't know that the AC was broken until probably halftime, third quarter-ish.
I'm sorry we're asking so many questions about the good
fine.
old days for you, because
The season starts tonight.
Yeah, the season starts tonight, and I promise we'll get to it, but you're kind of like a boogeyman for a lot of Heat fans locally, so we have a lot of questions that are of that era. What were your thoughts when Manu killed a bat?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Twice. He did it twice, didn't he?
I wasn't shocked at all. That's just Manu. That's who he is. He's a fearless player, fearless guy.
He's right.
He's not scared of many things.
kills bats.
He understands. You're usually afraid of what you don't understand. And he's a very well-read person about many things.
You weren't surprised at all.
Just Manu being Manu.
That a teammate of yours killed a bat in mid-flight on the court.
So Manu is one of those eclectic. He just said he's not scared of many things because he reads upon a lot of things. He's very well read, so he understands animals, he understands certain things, and he's just not scared of many things. So that's Manu being Manu. To me, he was always a god. So I didn't think anything less. Like we said, when I was young. So when I watched Manu growing up. And all these guys were gods. If I saw him afraid of something, I'd be
Danny,
very concerned.
you're not allowed to be unsurprised.
Knowledge is power, Danny.
Thank you.
Read a book.
You're not allowed to be unsurprised by your teammate killing a bat with his bare hands during the game on the court.
It's his teammate.
Manu's Manu, yeah, he just reads.
Anyway, let's talk about some modern basketball. He's the host of the podcast Inside the Green Room with Danny Green, and the season is indeed starting tonight, so there are things worth talking about. Did the Boston Celtics, who made up ground on the Boston Celtics? They were a great deal better than everyone last year.
We're not getting you. We lost you for a second. Are you muted?
Only wants to talk about the old days.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just pick up.
There we go. Sorry. I said the New York Knicks. I think the New York Knicks made up a lot of ground.
Will we get that matchup?
I think, don't we have it tonight? We have that matchup tonight, do we not?
Yes, we do. In Boston.
The ring ceremony night. So yeah, I love that matchup. I think Philly made up some ground a little bit, but the Knicks I think are the biggest contender for them in the East. In the West, it's very up in the air. I do like OKC a lot. I like Memphis as a sleeper. I think those two teams will be leading the West if they stay healthy.
You're out on Milwaukee?
Yes, I'm out on Milwaukee. I just don't think they got better this summer. I just think they got a year of more repetition. Like Damon and Giannis got some year of being together, more time together, but they just got a year older. They added some decent pieces. I do like the DeLon Wright, Gary Trent pickups, but I don't think they got much better. I think other teams got better, and they didn't. I think Indiana is going to be better. They're going to be really good. Orlando got better. Cleveland's got everybody back with a new coaching staff. So the East is going to be interesting, man. It's not as weak as people think. I think it's going to be just as much of a dogfight and battle as it is out West.
Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. Thank you, sir. The next time you're on, we will talk to you more about current things. I was alarmed.
For sure.
I was
It's all
alarmed.
good.
The shipping container went all nostalgic on me. I was surprised by that.
We have a quick game, Dan, before Danny gets out of here. We do appreciate it, Danny. We play a game around here called Shot for Your Life, okay? You have to choose one of these two guys to shoot and hit
He
a
understands
three.
the game. It's not that complicated.
I'm just making sure.
Okay.
Here are your choices. Larry Bird or Steph Curry. Shot for your life.
Your life.
I'm going to go. That's a tough one, man. I love Steph's game, one of the best shooters of all time, but I'm going to go with Larry.
Yeah!
What?
Yeah!
What are you doing?
You are living, my friend!
No! Danny!
And that's no disrespect to
None
to
taken.
Steph.
Yeah.
It is.
No, because I think Steph understands why. Like, I mean, granted, I think Steph is a very good clutch player. I just think Larry's a little bit more.
That's shocking. Danny, you have to get out of here.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, y'all, you would understand. Larry to me.
If I
Steph
looked
comes
at-
up in the
if-
big moments too,
if I
but I
look-
just think Larry was a.
Danny,
It's his answer,
Danny,
Dan.
if
Pick
I-
from
if
French
I-
Lick, Dan,
if I
yeah.
looked at the numbers, Steph Curry is
Danny,
a better
Danny,
shooter.
You're alive and you're right.
Clutch,
Okay, don't
look
explain
at the
yourself.
clutch numbers.
Yeah,
Look
clutch
at the
numbers. Clutch numbers. Look at them,
the
Dan.
clutch numbers.
Look at them.
clutch
Read a book.
numbers.
Danny, good
Hit a
talking to you.
Appreciate you guys,
See
man. You
later.
guys take it easy, all
Neither
right?
of them are
Boing.
making it if it's a fast break and he's there in transition B.
Take it easy, fellas.
Thank you, Danny.
Yep.
As streaming changes, Stugotz, and viewing habits change, and there are disruptors on how it is that customers are consuming sports. Last night, something happened that I haven't seen happen a lot, which is there was a Monday night football game between the Chargers and the Cardinals that a lot of people were suddenly searching for. Where is this 9 p.m. Eastern time start? And how do I find it? It was just on ESPN Plus because our last days at ESPN, as we were trying to explain to them, that we were their big digital property, and they tried to transition awkwardly into digital, and now Zach Lowe is out to sea all of a sudden when Zach Lowe has a valuable entity there, an audience that travels with him. The habits of people are changing so much that there's a soccer team in Inter Miami that exists behind the Apple paywall, and I wonder how many people are paying attention nationally, not internationally, to the fact that Inter Miami just had the best regular season in MLS history. Messi scored a hat trick the other day in 11 minutes. They've got the first team in the history of MLS that has two 20-goal scorers because you're laughing that it's a joke.
You can't have a hat trick in 11 minutes. I mean, it's impossible. He is playing in a lesser league. I mean, only the world's greatest soccer player could do it. It's like doing it against children.
Well, that's.
I mean,
I think you kind of gave the answer. Why only the greatest soccer player could do that.
do it in a real league.
He'd actually gone quite some time between club hat tricks.
I mean, 11
minutes. It had been a thing about him, and then he erased all doubt.
Stugotz is not wrong, not knowing a minute of anything about soccer other than it's dead because no one scores. He is not wrong when he says this team of ringers for Inter Miami playing behind a paywall are beating a bunch of plumbers comparatively.
I mean, they're doing it
younger
with like Luis
plumbers, though.
Luis Suarez doesn't have knees. He
I
doesn't
know.
have knees.
He's supposed to be old and done, but it tells you the difference of talent between Premier League soccer and what we're still playing in the States.
They're a damn good team. They set the record for points in MLS, and after the match that they most recently had, where they celebrated the Supporter Shield, which is how clubs pretty much everywhere else on the planet, how leagues pretty much decide everywhere else on the planet that you are the best club. You have won. Here in the States, we get down with playoffs. We like that. That's fine. That's actually what Billy's going to use to judge Messi ultimately. But the FIFA president was just like, and guess what? You're in the Club World Cup. Why? It's good enough for me. I've seen your resume. They have never been clear about what the qualification process is. And they just decided, by way of you guys winning the Supporters' Shield, that's good enough for us. You're opening the whole thing at Hard Rock. Enjoy.
So wait, he doesn't have knees. So is his shin just go straight into his quad?
Yep,
he runs like Tars?
Basically, Messi sends in a cross, and it goes off of his
He's
torso.
Tars, Mike. He's just boop, 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 boop,
Yeah,
boop,
oh,
boop.
from Interstellar.
Yeah, it was a callback.
I think he's just quads. I think at this point in his career that Suarez is just nubs, and that Messi pelts things off of his torso and nubs, and they also go into the goal so that they have 2 20-goal scorers for the first time in league history, even though those guys have missed games and stuff. It's not even like they're playing all the games.
No, Tata Martino's done an incredible job. They've had additional competitions, and they've been without Messi for an extended period of time. They've had to rotate in and out, and they just keep chugging along. But I just loved how FIFA that was. In that we have this huge, instead of doing the Confederations Cup where they take the one singular champion from each qualifying region to warm up a host city or host nation for the World Cup the following year, they decided, which is actually pretty cool, we're going to have a World Cup, but with just clubs. Okay, cool. What's a qualification process? You leave that to us. Well, Chelsea's in it. Chelsea's not even in the real Champions League. How's Chelsea in it? Well, you know that pandemic Champions League? That's good enough for us. What?
I think it's fine. I think Stugotz is right when he says put Vanderbilt in the 12-team playoff. And if Messi's on your team, just let them play important games. Just
Because you have them.
Build the tournament around Messi instead of inviting Messi to your tournament. You invite your tournament to Messi.
There is no way Messi wasn't playing in this tournament. They would have found some way. Oh, no, there was a Leagues Cup. They won last year. That's good enough. Oh, host city. They get a bye. They would find a way to get Messi in this thing.
Mike, I do want to better understand behind a paywall and the damages of behind a paywall. The Messi enthusiasms in South Florida are fractured, Stugotz. This is an international city, and the many different nationalities here do embrace Inter Miami. But some of those nationalities don't necessarily have everything you need to pay for Apple Plus and to watch his games behind a paywall. When you see a soccer tournament played here and people are climbing through the ducks and stuff and we look like a third world country, we are an international city, and some of our fans are poor. Some of our Hispanic fans are poor, but they care very much about this player. And I ask Mike now, as someone who was priced out, Mike Ryan makes a decent living in Miami. He was priced out by the gouging that this club was doing because they're trying to build an economy around Messi, a stadium around Messi, and you do that with winning.
He was priced out on tickets, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I was priced out on tickets,
Right.
yeah.
What'd you think he was priced out?
Well, I think Dan's talking about paying for the
Being
streaming
able
services.
to follow.
Right,
I've been able to follow them, and it should be noted that Apple TV some time ago decided, hey, if you just subscribe to Apple TV, you get the MLS package for free now. Because before it was you had to have both and then pay an additional fee to have the MLS. Now all you have to do is pay Apple TV's subscription price, and you have access to MLS. So maybe that makes things better. I think that I didn't agree with the gamble that Major League Soccer took. I've said this a couple of times. I think you maybe make that bet after a World Cup, but people really discount how huge that thing is going to be here. Our show finds a way to get obsessed with the World Cup when it's happening, when they don't move it to the middle of football season because they want to, acquiesce to the Middle East because of the money that's pumping in. But it's a major event, and it is a huge launch pad for that sport in this country. And I think you take the years in advance of that to get as many people possibly in the tent. You have the world's greatest player, and he's still kicking ass. He is still amazing. He's still
hat trick in 11 minutes.
He's still
Against
Argentina's
plumbers.
best player. He's still
young plumbers.
He's still the guy that helped lead Argentina to a World Cup over a year ago. He is still that dude when he is healthy. I think you use that opportunity to get as many people in the tent, and they haven't been super inclusive. And that's a huge disconnect in this country with the sport. I'm not just talking about how accessible it is on television. I'm talking about how accessible this sport is to play. There is a major difference about how easy and accessible the game of soccer is overseas in other countries than what it is here, because you have the pay-for-play model, and it's such a racket. All these traveling teams, there is essentially a fence drawn around the sport when all you need is a ball. That's why the major ground that the U.S. soccer program needs to clear is accessibility.
Messi needs a second World Cup, right?
Oh, God. No. He just needed the one.
Nah, they're better off winning none.
I'm with Stugotz on this one.
You think Ronaldo's better off for not winning one?
Debatable.
Yeah.
I can't believe he
No.
continues with this argument after
It's
2
Greg.
days. He
Guy,
finds it
Guy,
from
what are you
every
doing?
angle. Every angle. The thing
You don't get up and leave after that.
Look, he
You
feels
don't turn
like
your
he
back. You
feels
don't
like
do that.
He
I
nailed
don't
it.
feel like you don't do that.
It's soccer is dead, no goals, and now
I just say Messi needs a second World Cup. He
What?
does,
God.
Dan. You can't be the greatest
They
soccer
happen every
player.
4 years.
I mean,
It's hard.
I mean, come on.
What, yeah,
But
come
don't
on.
You hear that, Mike?
I mean, give me some soccer, but give me the all-time greats who have only won one World Cup. Go ahead.
Good question.
Lionel
List them.
Messi?
Pele. I mean, he's
Messi.
won like 3.
Okay,
I mean,
but Messi is really, really fantastic, and he needed the World Cup to cement his legacy, and he got
My
the World Cup.
point in talking about all of this was simply Miami gets behind winning energy. This is a team that
Miami does, but this isn't Boca.
This is a historic team, and you, not that long ago, were ready to pay any price just about to be a part of the electricity that should presently be coursing through your body because Inter Miami has the best team with the best players. Miami historically always gets around that, and it doesn't seem to have climbed onto your bandwidth.
Right. Well, that money had to go to Cam Ward.
That's what happened, isn't it?
It's business is booming.